to grow into the receiver I was because it humbled me a lot. I was a little hot here. I guess growing up, thought I was a lot of stuff, but it kind of humbled me. I only got 6 passes my junior year, and it kind of went up my senior year. But playing with Lake, it was fun. I mean, Lake was one of the top running backs in the state, and that's kind of what lessened the blow of me having my hand in the dirt a lot because I knew if I got that cut block, I'll be laying on the ground seeing Lake walking to the end zone. So it wasn't too bad, but yeah, it was kind of weird. I was 130 pounds with my hand in the dirt at tight end.
Hey, and that's still impressive, though, Tevin, man. I mean, that you're going to go do that. Sometimes,
a lot of my highlight videos go from the 3-point stand.
Yeah,
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Who wants to be stronger, bigger, and better looking in a T-shirt and in the end zone. Touchdown, Tyquan Thornton. The run sets up the pass. Another beauty from Charlie Brewer, a 35-yard score.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
A non-event, but I would hit this one a little easier, actually. Tiger Woods halfway to the slam and his second U.S. Open championship.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Here is Jordan, kicking it out.
Have you downloaded the SicEm365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play.
Here's Elliott on 2nd and 4, first down and more. Stays upright. Touchdown, Elliott.
Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
You know, there's been so many stories in the last, this now our 11th week of SicEm365 Radio, and we have about 5 stories today. Any of them could be your lead story. We start with Baylor. 59 student-athletes tested as they've arrived on campus. 3 student-athletes tested positive. 1 is symptomatic, 2 asymptomatic. And we were told, Matt Rhodes had said that the football players would be on board first. And I made the mistake of saying 3 out of 59 football players, 3 out of 59 student-athletes. Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina, I'm David Smoke. I don't know what the averages are. I do know that there have been thoughts that other campuses and practices have already been shut down because of numbers that have. But 3 out of 59, I don't know if is that good?
I would think 0 would be the number you're looking for, obviously. But, yeah, 3 out of 59 I don't think is, too bad average-wise. I made the mistake as well as far as the football side of things, just kind of wrongly, I guess, assuming in my translation of the letter that we got that it must have been football because, as you said, they were the first to on board. But I got some clarification, so I tried to this would be the one time where the edit tweet button I would be in favor for because I would just take FB out of the tweet and it would be fine as is. But I tried to clarify it for those who may have missed it that, yeah, it was not all 3 football student-athletes, and the clarification that I got shortly afterwards was that some of these tests were done off-site, before, I guess, people started arriving back. So as they get results in, from tests done on campus or outside of, they're just going to kind of frame it, and they're not going to individualize by sport, but they are going to give a weekly update, which I think is a smart thing to do. And 3 of 59, yeah, the number so far.
Yeah, and that's pretty good. I would
think
guess.
that's lower than the norm.
Yeah,
and again, 0's the number. 1 and 2 would be too much, but 3 out of 59, I think that's compared to some of the other campuses. I think that's very much below the norm.
Yeah, that's the first benchmark. The second benchmark is though once they start practicing and playing and sweating and all these different things, what happens when there's an outbreak and 19 people get it like that? Like, what do you have to do? How do you make it through your season doing that? And, there might be some pretty good teams whose seasons get derailed because they have an outbreak. Because we're gonna have a season. Let's just face it, that's gonna happen. So you're gonna have to be ready to play with a lot less people than you are. And maybe you change your eligibility rules. Maybe redshirting is 7 games instead of 4.
Yeah, and there's no average as far as, they still have another 40 guys to onboard. I mean, even though they had 3 in the first 59, they could have 7 in the next 40. For all we know, there's no exact science to this, but 3 out of 59 I don't think is too bad. I mean, Houston had 6 out of 80 guys, so it's kind of on that same trajectory. We know that Houston's already shut down workouts. I guess somebody said A&M's, had their own issues as well that they've had to deal with so far. So it'll be interesting to see. Not all football players, as we mentioned, but, just students who have been tested off campus as well. So they've started with the contact tracing as a part of their response and coordinating with, health officials. So they will, do the contact tracing. And, my first thought with this was, people are apt to, especially on a social media app that I'm growing more and more tired of each day, Twitter, are apt to do the knee-jerk, most extreme, most dramatic reaction to everything. Like, we don't formulate ideas anymore or opinions. We just have, immediate reactions to it. And so the immediate reaction will be, oh, my gosh, see, this is why we can't come back. People are just, how many of these athletes across the country will be walking around with coronavirus asymptomatic right now if not for these tests that are being done across the country? Because you've got 6 down in Houston, you got 3 at Baylor, you got 5 here, 5. I mean, it's 100 new tests that we know about. People that are walking around healthy, asymptomatic. That's directly a result of these schools testing. So I think it's a positive overall.
Texas Tech had athletes test positive, and track and field and women's basketball tested positive. Again, some of the athletes, they're all coming back. It's almost like if a business came back, let's say as a corporation with several, 50, 100, whatever employees, I'm sure that when they all came back, there were some sent home. Mm-hmm. Because of just the numbers, the odds of something happening, that there's just is part of America. You're right, Craig, is that these young men or women would not be getting tested unless they just had the symptoms, and one of them did. We would not even be getting tested, so they would be walking around. Maybe they would be walking next to you or possibly going to the movie theater or to the grocery store or dating or I don't know, Now, the story yesterday that blew up, and it's every day there's something different. By the way, baseball, anything?
I think that's pretty much dead at the moment.
No, by the way, I gave you a tweet you
I
need to read about that.
Okay. All right. Well, I just was curious because I thought you could see movement. Bowel movement.
Yeah, this is exactly what it is.
Chuba Hubbard, again in Oklahoma State, and Mike Gundy. This was it took how you sent this out. I think it was you or Craig. It was 5 hours after Mike Gundy's picture came out, or whenever it was, that they come into a very awkward video. Gundy looks like he's fine. He's just kind of rolling with it. Hubbard has his arms crossed. He's not. I'm not going to speak for Chuba Hubbard. He's made this very clear. But it didn't but how the clockwork that was going to happen.
And he did look uncomfortable. He did look like this was not really what he wanted to do. And
then why, if in fact he didn't want to do it, then why did he do it? Because he made his point. He
made his point.
How much pressure do you think came down on him?
I'm sure a lot. Came down on him. And the only point I agree with is,
and you're talking about Hubbard, not Gundy.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think Gundy had far less. In my opinion, Gundy probably had far less pressure on him than Chuba Hubbard, only because Chuba Hubbard is the one who decided to step out and state his opinion, because that's going to put a lot of pressure on yourself, and I completely support him doing it. But he said, "Look, I should have probably gone to coach first." I think that's probably the best thing to do is go to the coach first. And if Mike Gundy gave him any kind of back flap on that, and he said, if he called up coach and said, "Hey coach, I saw this picture on Twitter of you in this OAN shirt, and you got to know that they've said some things that are really offensive to players,
right.
other players on the team. Can we sit down and talk about this?" If Mike Gundy kind of gave him any kind of guff for them, then I would have, if I were him, I would have been like, you know what, fine.
He released a statement and said that first he said he was never wrong for what he said, but believes he could have addressed the situation, which is the first thing I said yesterday afternoon. I wish I'm not in his shoes, and I surely have never walked in his shoes, but it would have been, why not pick up the phone and call your coach? Coach, this picture, what the, and who knows, what maybe Gundy would have I don't know. A lot of other players, former players as well. Doug Gottlieb, who went to Oklahoma State. This was at 12:12 p.m. today. Did you see this, Craig? Paul? Oklahoma State player demands a change in policy. 1, they can wear earrings. 2, do-rag and wave caps. 3, the ability to wear saggy pants. 4, hair. 5, music. Music previously could not contain cuss words or curse words, derogatory language towards women and race. These were demands all agreed upon by Gundy, and then hashtag no sarcasm. And then he had a response, is this serious? I can't tell. And Doug Gottlieb said serious.
Who said that to Doug Gottlieb?
This was Riker Kasamoto.
So nobody, basically.
No, I'm just saying he was asking Doug, are you serious about these? Were actually legitimate demands. And I don't know. It was that seems like that went from what he was wearing to, the saggy pants.
To what they weren't allowed to wear?
Yeah.
That's basically what it sounds like it went to.
Yeah.
They were upset over something he wore, and in turn, they demanded things that they are apparently not allowed to wear.
Well, there's a little bit of a double standard.
Earrings, clothing, do-rags.
Yeah.
And then the music. Now, the music thing, okay, this is me. I'm 61, and I look at things differently than both of you do, and maybe most people. Music previously could not contain curse words, okay. Derogatory language towards women and race. But that's now allowed?
So,
and I understand that a lot of music, there's lots of music, not just, country or rock or whatever. There are things that are,
the music thing in college football is kind of a fascinating thing to me, because when a team has a coach that doesn't let you play music gets fired, the thing they say the most they like about the new coach is he lets us listen to music in practice. He's really in tune with us now. And then when that coach who lets them listen to music gets fired, the players will be like, yeah, there's no more music in practice. There's no more, dancing around. It's all business. So the music thing in practice to me has always been such a stupid little thing that just kind of, the only difference in music working or not working is your team mature enough to handle whatever's going on? Whether it's music or attire or all that stuff, is your team mature enough to handle it? Yes or no? If they're not, then that's a problem.
All right,
players have responded to Gottlieb over the hour. Amin, who he seems to be a guy I've been quoting now for the last 2 shows, but Amin Agbangbamiga said, be careful what you say and who you listen to. The entirety of this isn't true and depicts a bad image on us. I haven't heard anywhere within the program that someone wants to play music that is disrespectful towards women. This isn't the sincere objective we're trying to achieve. So I'm sure there's maybe been others who have responded, but that was one player in particular. And, he's saying that's not all the way accurate. But
Seth Newton, who's a former Oklahoma State player, said as a former player, things must have changed a lot because all that was commonplace. Players did all of the above freely. That's interesting. And so that's
you got to be so careful with people in their tweets, man, and the information.
I think that Doug Gottlieb, it appears to me someone I could rely on. I know he's had his past back in the day, but I don't think as a guy who's an Oklahoma State alum, he would throw that out there.
Yeah, but
just because some random person.
But there's also probably some subterfuge going back in support of Mike Gundy of some big time alums who don't like what happened yesterday.
Baseball. There's a start date.
No.
Okay. Just
read the tweet.
Go ahead.
It's brilliant.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think the person who's kind of at ground zero of a lot of the hate being directed right now is the Oklahoma State reporter Kyle Boone, who, if you've read his tweets, he was the one that put the picture out there to begin with. He's the one that pointed out the T-shirt that Gundy was wearing and started the whole thing. And since then, I've seen him do nothing but basically stir the pot.
You're talking about the
reporter
Boone or whatever.
Yeah, Kyle Boone, the reporter. Yeah. He's the one he's still stirring the pot hours later, and I'm seeing some. heavy reactions from the Oklahoma State fan base. They are not happy with that guy because they feel like he's stirring the pot and making this more of an issue. If he doesn't post that picture yesterday, does it even register on anybody's radar? But he clearly did it, and he clearly did it with the intent to point out the T-shirt Mike Gundy was wearing and just taking a little bit of an unofficial tally across football. Media in general are a lot of Missouri grads, and there are a lot of liberal folks, Syracuse, etc. That is the majority of the Bruce Springsteen listening to media that you will come across. And so not surprising that, you got to be careful with some of these media people taking their shots politically. And I think Kyle Boone did that a little bit, and I think some Oklahoma State fans see through that.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question in this profession. And I think that when I was younger, my mom and dad were voting Democrat during the day. Now, of course, Democrats now are –
they were JFK Democrats.
Yeah. And so – but I tend to believe that. I tend to believe that most people in the media, newspaper writers and otherwise, for the most part, are very much liberal.
Oh, yeah.
And then you look at college football coaches. Would you not say most college football coaches are probably conservative?
I
think there's a higher rate of media reporters being liberal, but I would say that I think that there are more conservative, probably college football coaches, in comparison.
And then especially the ones that probably more in between.
Yeah, but especially the ones that are vocal about their
right.
Like most of the coaches that will come out and say something are usually conservative to me.
I had a couple of different emails yesterday, and one from someone who served for our country. And again, that doesn't mean that he has more of a right to say anything. It just, and then there was one just from a listener of our show, Albert. He said, one thing you mentioned yesterday that nobody really grabbed a hold of, although you guys did, was now are we going to be feeling as if we're censored by what we can say? Not freedom of speech now, but you can only have freedom of speech if people agree with you.
Yeah.
That's getting to be very dangerous.
And I kind of got bogged down in just disputing the point because you were kind of focusing on the T-shirt aspect of it when it was clear that it was, but I know what your overall point was, and I probably just got a little too bogged down in the T-shirt part of it, but you're absolutely right that we are being censored more now than ever due to peer pressure. I mean, you go on, I was just thinking about this last night. I go on to Twitter, and I can make a comment about any issue going on in society right now, whether it be, military spending or what we're doing for the homeless or same-sex marriage, any topic you want to do. I could go out and just give my own individual opinion on an individual topic, and, let's just say 100 people respond. Like 90 of those people are going to call me, depending on what I say, either a liberal or a conservative. And if I'm a liberal, then I'm some whack job who wants everybody to do whatever they want to do all the time. And if I'm conservative, then I'm some racist, Nazi-loving, white guy. And that's not true in either case. Like we've tried to put people in these bubbles, right? Of you're either this or you're that. And the fact is, I think most people are not just this or that. And even if they are Democrat or Republican, they're not that stereotype that you see on social media. That's doing us a disservice.
Is it also those who want tolerance becoming the most intolerable?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's a concern of mine as well. And again, I just feel like if I don't say it, that I'm not being honest here.
No, I'm
think Harry Carson, Hall of Fame linebacker, will join us at 3:25.
I agree with you. I think sometimes the ones who are fighting for the most acceptance are the ones who are not willing to try and help people accept.
Yeah, well, this isn't about whether it's racial. It is about racial injustice and what people are fighting for, and I get that. But there's so much more to that.
No, it's every topic.
Yeah, every topic, like you mentioned. The text line's blowing up. Carl, Leon, TJ, the 314. We're going to be able to get to that right now. We'll try to get to some of your comments. Eagles lost Brandon Brooks, Paul, hell of a player, offensive lineman. He's out for torn Achilles. That's a big deal. That's kind of affects maybe what the Cowboys are, who they are, and of course their number one rival right now, Philadelphia.
No, I was just going to say one more thing on the political side of things is, you could be, let's say, a conservative. That's people are trying to turn that into a bad word, which I think is ridiculous. And the way they're trying to turn it into a bad word is to use the most extreme example of said word to paint everybody that way. And I just think that the identity politics we've got going on in this country is so dangerous. I feel we're being pitted against each other by the media, who are the ones with the true agendas. And we got to be smarter than that, man.
Agree.
We got to get out of our TV bubble and think for ourselves, because I could be a liberal or a conservative voter overall, but that doesn't mean that every issue across the board I'm voting, I agree that it's the liberal mentality or the conservative mentality. I think for myself on individual topics, and then whatever it comes to out of the wash is the direction that I go, but so many people just are stuck in identity politics.
Leon today on the text line, brought to you by Riverbend Liquor and Wine. No baseball. TJ, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, Paul. That was at 3:04.
When I said, what happens when there's 19, 20 cases that hit a team real fast.
314, really excited for today's show. Thank you very much. We appreciate you. And then also, Carl Campbell, I'd love to give my thoughts. Today's world is beyond loving double standards. Mike Gundy has to come into work and make statements on a shirt that had zero offense. Dabo mocks Black Lives Matters with football matters. The issue is Dabo is given a pass because he's a national championship winner. Mike Gundy has it 1-1. Groupthink, in my opinion, is only one that matters. Is killing us as a society. Nobody is thinking about Gundy's point of views.
No, I totally agree. It's mob mentality, and burn it down and move on to the next thing. And I just think we're in such dangerous territory with that.
Mike Gundy's punishment is really going to come in. How does he explain this to recruits?
The recruiting, from this point forward. He might still lose players between now and football season. Some might go in the transfer portal. And again, this might flare up for 2 or 3 days, and then something else pops, which it probably will. One other note, high school football. I gave both of you your Dave Campbell's Texas Football magazines. You're both, I appreciate it, and you're welcome. I got those thanks to Greg Tepper. I have mine. You guys have yours. And part of that, the 2020 Class 4A Division I top 10 includes La Vega's 1, Argyle is 2, and they'll play each other again.
It never changes. It just flips, if anything.
Carthage is now, remember, they moved to Division II, so that changed up some things there. Lampass is 3 with Ace Whitehead. At 6, it's Springtown. Now, normally we wouldn't mention the Porcupines, but they're playing Conley in Week 3. Conley's Division II. La Vega and Conley will reunite. They play in Week 2. And, of course, I mentioned earlier La Vega is going to have a matchup again and probably play Argyle twice in the non-district, and then again most likely the playoffs.
And apparently, since word is still going around, yes, we are going to be doing high school football this year. For those that maybe missed out on that last week, we will be doing Connolly football. We will be on the radio on the Eagle and having some fun. So looking forward to that.
And Rodney Smith University, yesterday we had coaches on. Today we have coaches on. Every day we'll have a high school for the most part. And then there'll be a slow period, you think, after some of these workouts that are going on. When we come back, he's a Hall of Famer. He was in the Bahamas a couple of weeks ago, sent me a text. He goes, when I get back, I'll let you know. We'll come on the show. That was a week ago. He got stuck there. And I don't know, maybe it was because of travel. Yeah. Maybe it was because of something. But he was a Hall of Fame. He is a Hall of Fame linebacker, played under Bill Parcells, a part of that great Giants defense back in the day. Harry Carson of the Giants, next on SicEm365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Let
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
In great times or tough times, you always feel better working with someone who's there for you. When it comes to great banking, people here count on the First National Bank of Central Texas, here to help you, your family, and your business. Personal banking via phone, desktop, tablet, and drive-through. And business banking tailored for all situations, including yours. Amazing tomorrows from the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. And order 30-pound bags of live crawfish by noon on Thursday and pick up on Friday to enjoy the weekend. Live crawfish available right now. And Waco Custom Marketplace doors are open for business Monday through Friday from 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5. And crawfish boil boxes available as well. Make your order for live crawfish by noon on Thursday. Pick up on Friday for the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh kolaches, cinnamon rolls, and baked bread daily. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, and house-cured and smoked bacon. Spices, seasoning, soup mixes, charcoal, and lighter fluid. Waco Custom Marketplace, doors open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5, 425 Lake Air Drive, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The SicEm365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
Here we go, SicEm365 Radio, expecting Hall of Fame linebacker Harry Carson with us momentarily. Rodney Smith, head coach at University High, will join us today at 3:45. At 4 o'clock, Mari Buford, former Texas Tech, Chicago Bears punter from Mount Pleasant, Texas. He'll join us today at 4. And then we also roll into Mac Rhodes. It'll be interesting, perfect timing to have him today. Mac Rhodes with us at 4:20 on the report that 3 student athletes at Baylor out of 59 tested positive for COVID-19, or the COVID-19 test. And then also today, David Hellman will join us at 5 o'clock. All right?
Yeah, I'm going to call Harry Carson here again in a second. So.
All right, now, the Zeke Elliott, John Machota's done some really good stuff with Zeke Elliott on not Zeke Elliott, but the Cowboys. He actually there was a doctor he quoted, or someone that's in the medical field, that he said what the Cowboys might have to do is go outside the state of Texas to train. I would think that Texas right now is one of the safest states you can be, even though there's a flare-up here or a flare-up there. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think
the last thing they want to do is go fly to California.
Yeah, I mean, don't go traveling if you don't need to be traveling right now. I know some people have gotten very gung-ho about it, but, Florida, for example, and I know everybody's got their opinions on coronavirus, but it's still, a real thing that is out there. And, you take your precautions on an individual basis, however you feel about it. But, Florida's exploding right now with cases, and Texas is starting to see a rise as well. I saw 20 new cases, or close to 20 new cases today in McLennan County alone. So, Dallas is dealing with it. And if you can do it in your backyard and not everybody has to jump on an airplane, then, yeah, I just think that makes perfect sense of why you would stay home.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. But, again, the story today at 2 o'clock, Baylor released a press statement that said 3 of 59 student athletes had tested positive. 1 was symptomatic and 1 was asymptomatic. 2 of them were asymptomatic, and as more and more arrive on campus, we'll get more and more statistics, not just from Baylor, but elsewhere. He's a Hall of Famer. He was been in the Bahamas former Giants great, and the Hall of Fame induction that was like almost 15 years ago now, 14 years ago. Harry Carson joins us, Paul Craig, and I'm David Smoke on SicEm365 Radio. Do you want to share the experience of you trying to get back in the country, or is that just something that you'd rather not discuss?
Yeah, we're
going to have to...
Hold on, just Paul. We'll try to see if we can reconnect. It's not good connection at all. Harry Carson. So he was in the Bahamas and expected back, as I mentioned, and all of a sudden he couldn't get back in for a little bit longer. I don't know if that wouldn't be a bad thing.
No.
If you're on some kind of a nice place, you're in some place out, whether it's, even if it's in this country, some really nice place, and all of a sudden you got to stay there like in Hawaii.
Yeah, it certainly beats like being stuck in Malakoff or something like that, or just
you get a ticket there anyway.
Yeah, any random town that you could potentially be in. So yeah, if you're out on an island somewhere, that'd be just about perfect. Barring so long as you don't have to go and be anywhere anytime soon. But yeah, we'll get Harry back on. And I had a couple people delete my tweet earlier, so I've deleted my tweet on the football student athletes, even though I clarified it, just so there's no confusion. But to be clear, they were not all three football student athletes that tested positive at Baylor today. So I've deleted that, even though I did clarify it. And I just wanted to give a heads up there so that people know what the actual facts are.
Yeah, and I had mine out there. I put the release out there, and I said one clarification. There were 3 positive tests of the 59 student athletes who returned to campus at Baylor. And so, but that's out there, and you did as well. Nothing? Okay. Yeah, we couldn't do the interview with that signal. We just couldn't do it. I got something. We'll try to fill some time here. Rodney Smith at 3:45 if we can. I voted today for the National College Football Hall of Fame. My votes went to Flozell Adams, Michigan State. Champ Bailey was at Georgia. Michael Bishop, Kansas State, played at Glenn. Jack Del Rio, USC. Tony Franklin at A&M. Dan Hampton, Arkansas. Steve Hutchinson, great offensive lineman from Michigan. Larry Jacobson, back in the days under Bob Devaney at Nebraska when they won back-to-back national titles. Miami linebacker Ray Lewis. Julius Peppers, who played at North Carolina. Kenneth Sims of Texas, and Roy Williams, who we had on last week, Oklahoma safety, were mine, the FBS player selections. Again, rejoined by Hall of Fame linebacker Harry Carson. We hope we have a better connection. So was it a good thing you got to stay in the Bahamas an extra week? Because that seems like it's not a bad place to be.
Well, actually, I wasn't in the Bahamas. I was in Panama.
Oh, Panama. Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry. So you're trying to get back. You can't get back in. So how are you doing? Everything okay? You're glad to be back, I would think.
Well, yeah, I'm glad to be back. Everything is fine. It's nice and sunny. There's no snow on the ground here, so everything is good.
Now, you Hall of Fame, that you got the call to be a part of the Hall of Fame, and that was something that at times was frustrating to you. How did you come to peace with that after you had been rejected, in a way, if that's the right word, but had been passed over for more years than you wanted?
Well, I think everybody has is misunderstood about my dealing with the Hall of Fame. It was never really a desire for me to be in the Hall of Fame, since I was on the list every year, and it wasn't me. And I just wrote them a letter, asked them to take my name out of consideration, because I was good with not, being a Hall of Famer. I played the game. There was nothing more that I could do. And I just respectfully asked for them to remove my name from consideration, because I became sort of like the Susan Lucci of NFL football, always in contention but never winning any kind of award. So I just asked to have my name removed. I was never angry about it, but it was very disappointing for a lot of people around me who were really pulling for me, and every year I didn't make it, they were crushed, and I was never crushed about it. And so, I basically divorced myself of the situation by writing the letter. But, the thing that we came to realize is there was no mechanisms in place to have your name removed from the Pro Football Hall of Fame nomination list.
You were sorry. Go ahead.
No.
You were part of one of the best linebacking cores in the history of the NFL. Lawrence Taylor, you alone, that's scary enough. And then you add in Brad Van Pelt and Brian Kelly with a position group that is that strong. What is the game preparation different knowing that you're that confident that you know that you're going to get your job done at the linebacker spot?
Well, keep in mind that I had really good coaches even before Carl Banks and the reasons came on board. Brad Van Pelt and Brian Kelly and I, along with Lawrence, we were a pretty good group of linebackers. We had Bill Parcells as our defense coordinator and linebacker coach for a period of time, and then he became head coach. And then Bill Belichick was our defense coordinator and linebacker coach. So we were well schooled and well coached before we got on the field, and there was really nothing that an opponent could throw at us that we had not seen in practice and we were not prepared for. I think that's part of the reason why Bill Belichick has been such a really good coach with the New England Patriots. We were sort of the part for him as he moved on to other jobs, and especially so we were a pretty good group of linebackers. And the good thing is, in contrary to like now, players will play 2 or 3 years and then they're up and go someplace else. We were with the same team, same group of players, and so we got to learn from one another. I knew what Lawrence was going to do on certain plays without him even saying anything. And when I had the opportunity to do something, if I failed, Lawrence would be there to have my back, or Brian Kelly or Brad Van Pelt. So we played off of one another, and I think that's the thing that made us really, really good as a group of linebackers, and players made us really good because we knew what the other guy was thinking, and we played in conjunction with one another. And as I said before, if you get a group of players who have played for an extended period of time, you'll see how these guys can play and just draw upon one another and make plays that, a lot of don't make because, guys who are there are new and they don't know what, the other guy is thinking about.
So you obviously what we've seen Parcells go on to do in his career, and he, of course, ended it with the Cowboys, and he turned them around and helped perhaps change the culture there, which they needed. So you had firsthand, obviously Belichick was on staff and was promoted, became linebackers coach and the defense coordinator. Did you have any idea that he would turn out to be the head coach that he's become with the Patriots?
Well, when I first met Bill Belichick, he was kind of like the assistant special teams coach with the Giants at that time. I think it was 1979. And I remember walking out on the practice field, and Dave Jennings, our punter, was punting, and Bill Belichick was, timing the punt. And at that time, he was just another coach. And then he became the secondary coach. He became linebacker coach. And it was as a linebacker coach that he knew his stuff, because he would draw plays up, and we would see the plays, but we didn't comprehend it the way that, he drew it on the board. Sometimes we look at the diagrams of things that he wanted us to do. We'd say, "No, Bill, that's not going to work," because we just didn't see how it was going to mesh with the personnel that we had and so forth. And so we go out on the practice field, and sure enough, we start running plays, and it worked. We go to games, and it worked. And so it was at that point that we trust Belichick, and I saw just how good of a defensive coach he was with the group that he handled Brad Van Pelt, Brian Keller, and Lawrence Taylor, and then subsequently be able to make the switch from Ron Kelly and Brad Van Pelt to Carl Banks, and gave reasons and not necessarily skip a beat. And you have guys who were big and fast and could run and hit. You know, we made him look good, but the reality is he made us look good because he put us in the right situations. He didn't ask us to do anything that were beyond us. You know, you hear him as he's coaching his team say, "Do your job." Well, we heard that slogan, you know, a long time ago. Do your job, and we did our job. And I knew my job wasn't Lawrence. My job was not to sack quarterbacks. My job was to stop the inside run, and I was pretty good at it. Lawrence's job was to apply pressure on, and he did so many other things, you know, that just came naturally. That he was just a super player to play with. But all of us had our specialties, and I saw Belichick had this head coaching sort of ability about him. And so when I left in 1988, at the end of that season, Belichick was up for a head coaching position at Cleveland, and I wrote a letter of recommendation to Art because I just felt so strongly that Belichick would make an outstanding head coach way back during that time. And so he went to Cleveland. Didn't necessarily turn out the way that we all wanted it to turn out. But in the end, you know, he is still a pretty damn good coach. And I'm very proud to say that, you know, I've been coached by some of the best coaches in Parcells and Bill Belichick.
So today, as I was preparing for the show, and this happens every time we have a Hall of Famer on, I'll start watching clips of things, and I'll wind up in a YouTube hole for an hour watching things. And the Super Bowl 21 third quarter that you guys had, what was the key at halftime when you guys just came out and decided to throw the Broncos straight into the wood chipper after that? Because they had to feel going in that they were doing well, and then you guys came out and said, well, no, that was cute. You guys are done now.
Well, I tell you what the secret was. When we started the game, the sun was out. We've been playing in cold weather. And when the game started, you know, it was hot. And we were exhausted chasing John Elway and, you know, running backs and so forth. And when we came out in the third quarter, the sun was setting behind the Rose Bowl. And I swear, this is the truth. It had cooled down significantly. We were able to, you know, catch our breath, and we knew what they were trying to do. But I think the weather played a huge role in us being able to come back and sort of shift gears and play at a much different tempo and high level, because the Giants type of weather, it wasn't like cold, but it had dropped down to like 60 or something like that, which was more comfortable for us, having come from the East Coast and having played in some cool weather. When the game started, it was like 8-5. And so we were like gassed, you know, by the end of the first half. But I think that was really the key. You know, the sun sort of setting on the western side of the Rose Bowl and everything cooling down.
Harry Carson, Hall of Fame linebacker, with us on SicEm365 Radio. Harry, if you don't mind, to close it out, back when you were coming out of high school, there was the historically black colleges and universities that were flowing talent to the National Football League. We've had Claude Humphrey on, among others, that the opportunities were either Jackson State or at Grambling or elsewhere, and you went to South Carolina State, and obviously the NFL found you. Your thoughts about the options you had back then compared to today?
Well, the options, it was my choice to go to South Carolina State. I quit my high school team at the end of my football season. I had a little disagreement with my head coach off the field, which in essence I was because I wasn't necessarily connected with any team, and in terms of all teams and all of that stuff, it wasn't for me to be. And everybody stopped writing me letters. So one of my teachers took me to South Carolina State, and it was at that point that I met Barney Chavis, who I eventually played with, and Donnie Shell, who is going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this year. And in terms of leadership, and I had really good coaches there, but a guy by the name of James Carson, he was our defense coordinator, and Willie Jeffries, who was the head coach at the time. And so when I went there, I really enjoyed the experience. I think South Carolina State prepared me for the New York Giants, because when I went to the Giants, I had never played the position of middle linebacker. And so when I was in South Carolina State, I was a defensive end, and my senior year I played a little nose tackle. And had it not been for playing that role as a nose tackle at 227 pounds, I was able to make the adjustment to a Mike linebacker that Marty Schottenheimer trained me to play that position. And so I probably could have played almost any position, but the position that Marty wanted me to play was conducive to me, and the rest is history. I made the all-rookie team and was able to play that position from the fourth.
Inducted into Pro Football's Hall of Fame, Super Bowl champion when they blasted Denver, as Paul, you brought up. Harry Carson with us. Harry, thank you so much. Stay safe. We appreciate your time, and thank you for how you represent everything, and we appreciate it. Hope to hear from you again down the line.
All right, you guys take care.
That's Harry Carson. Again, he was at I kept saying the Bahamas. He was in Panama. He got stranded there. Had to wait a week. He was, again, inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2002 from South Carolina State, Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2006. When we come back, University High and former Baylor star Rodney Smith. You remember, he took over a program that lost 6 or 8 games in a row. They've won 7 games the last 2 years. That doesn't sound like much, but where that program has been, that's huge. He's next on SicEm365 Radio.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crashed, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
Drive forward at Allen Samuels. Get big summer values on new Jeeps, the vehicles of summer. Get 0% for 72 and no payments for 90 days on select Jeeps, plus new Jeep Gladiators featuring employee pricing for all. New Ram Lone Star Crew Cab 4x4s feature up to $10,250 in values. Shop safely in person or shop and buy online at AllenSamuelsDCJ.com. Your friend in the car business, Allen Samuels.
Ask for details.
Our communities are facing unprecedented times. At Boozer's Jewelers, we care about you and your family. If you're like me, your home has unwanted or unused jewelry lying around. They can have value, and that means we can turn that jewelry into instant cash. This is a great way to get the most value from your unwanted jewelry. At Boozer's Jewelers, we buy all kinds of unused jewelry. So give us a call and let us give you peace of mind and cash for your unwanted or unused jewelry.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
University High football under Rodney Smith has changed. I don't know if the word is culture, whatever it is, but one of the first things he said when he was introduced was he needed to create belief that they could play and win at University High. Rodney Smith joins us, Craig Smoke, David Smoke, Paul Catalina on SicEm365 Radio. I know you're not satisfied, but I just mentioned in the last couple of years you guys have won 3 and 4, 7 games overall. Have you created, Rodney, belief in your opinion?
There is some belief in the south side of Waco going on. Not where I want to be by far, but, the tides are changing.
The tide is changing. How much, are you many steps, still baby steps, and are you ready to take that next step? Because I know a lot of it's set up what district you're in and who you play.
Well, still in a really tough district. I want to say still taking baby steps. Really, for the first time since I've been the head coach, really working with our middle schools and Mr. Love is allowing us to do some more things to improve our middle schools. And so I'm really proud about, and excited about, upcoming Cedar Chavez kids and also the University High School kids. But, it's really exciting in South Waco right now.
Is the district set up the way you think it should be in feeding University High?
I don't. We passed so many, schools that we could be in the district in, and but that's the way UIL. I don't know how they come up with these districts, but that's the way UIL said it, and so it's my job to try to get us prepared to play on Friday night.
Coach, you mentioned changing the culture and all these things. Are you noticing, you said you're excited about the kids coming up. Are you starting to see that culture drip down to the middle school so they're more excited, they're ready to go when they get to high school?
Most importantly, they are. Again, the culture is changing. People that what I call watch records. They probably won't believe that, and some may, but we do have kids that are playing multiple sports instead of playing one sport now, and kids that are just excited about football, showing up for practice. Don't have to drag and look for guys. It's changing. Baby steps, I would say.
What do you think one of the turning points was? Was there a particular moment during the course of a game or a practice, a particular player, a typical, a buy-in occurred? Is there a turning point you kind of look at as far as when maybe the mentality started to change a little bit?
Well, I think the mentality changed when, back when we got that first win. Mm-hmm. Oh man, kids, they work so hard in practice and believe me, they work, they wanted to win every game. But when we got that first win, man, it was just like, okay, we can do this, we can be successful. And that was really promising and important to me to see that on kids, minds and on their faces and listening to them talking about it. That was just big to me.
I can tell how important it was because I can almost sense you smiling right now just even thinking about it.
Yeah, man. When you could, it really hurt me this year because I thought we were really going to turn the page and be a playoff contender. Drop the game at home, drop the ball at home, and that really, really, really set us back a little bit. I'm really, really proud of our kids and what they've accomplished. Some of them dreams were we didn't get to fulfill those dreams, but I tell you, man, they changed University High School. I tell you that.
I asked you earlier about the way the district is set up, and you mentioned the district that includes, of course, Aledo and Burleson and Arlington, Seguin, among others. How about Waco ISD? Has that gotten any better with how talent, enrollment, students are distributed?
I don't think so. We just get Cesar Chavez and the other kids go where they go. But I tell you, man, I just think that, when you talk about Aledo and all those other schools, most of them are, if they're not a one-town school,
yep,
they're, they have two schools and so, they at least get two junior highs on this side of the highway and those two get on that side of the highway. So it equals up pretty good, in other towns. You got Cleveland who get all the kids in Cleveland, So it's really different at University High School when you just get the South Side now. Back when I played, we used to get Frogtown, which was a little of East Waco, and South Waco was a little more plentiful because Waco, Baylor University wasn't as massive as it is, now.
By the way, I got a text from Ridgewood assistant pro Jeff Hughes. He asked me, how's your golf game that you've had a chance to maybe go out there and play a little bit at that beautiful course?
I played a little bit, man. My golf game is up and down. It's up and down, man. I tell you what, I really, really credit, the pros in the golf game because, out of all sports I've played, it might be the toughest that I've ever played.
Yeah, the greens at Ridgewood are just as fine and slick as you can. I know they could go faster as well, but they're as fine and slick as you could possibly be. You've always believed in yourself, and you yourself were a success story with what you were in high school, what you did in high school, what you did at Baylor, and on. And as a high school basketball coach, did you ever doubt, or do you doubt that you'll finish the job at university with what you want?
Well, it's a process, and I think the process is looking really, really good. will I be the guy to go ahead and turn this thing around? I want to be, but if other options, that allows me to better myself and to accomplish, another goal that I have, then that's something that I have to weigh in. But I want to be that guy that changes University High School. And when I say change, I mean make them a playoff contender like basketball was. That's my dream and that's my goal right now. For University High School football.
Yeah, and here's the thing: you've made the differences because they had 4 consecutive 0-10s. Now you've won 7 games in 2 years. I mean, there's no question. Now there's a lot of people, other school districts, when they're openings. I'm not saying I want to see you go, but if other districts have jobs open, they're going to go, Rodney Smith won at University. And with all due respect, with a Walter Abercrombie or you or, LaDainian Tomlinson and Paris Cox and all those names. I mean, it's not been the same there. It's a struggle, and I think that there's no question you've created belief, and obviously your name is on the radar. All right, one more thing, if you don't mind. And Rodney Smith was his University High football coach. Workouts, of course, have reached now week 2. How's it been for you guys there with the Trojans?
Well, I tell you, man, that's what really puts a smile on my face. We're sitting at, we worked out the girls and boys on different days, separately. And we've incorporated high school, from 8 to 10, and then the Chavez kids from 10 to 12. And these 2 weeks that all we're doing is just a lot of teaching. We're doing a lot of running, but we're doing a lot of teaching. And, I met with the coaches today, and I just never seen a more beautiful thing. A lot of times we think the kid have it, and so we just throw them on the field. So the last 2 weeks has been a lot of teaching and just trying to get the kids to know why they're doing certain things, along with telling them how to do it.
Rodney, thank you very much. Good luck. Appreciate your time. Stay safe. We'll talk to you and see you soon.
Thank you, buddy.
Rodney Smith, head coach at University of High, was a very successful athlete, obviously a hell of a player, played at Baylor, heck of a coach at University High in basketball. Went to Johnny Tusa when Keith Willis left. Said, I'm interested in this. And I'll never forget his opening press conference. He talked to me, and again, okay, here's another guy that's going to go in there and go 0-10, 1-9, whatever. And if you look at their record, it wasn't easy. The first year they were 0-10. They've won 7 games in 2 years. It's all kind of, what are your goals? Well, University High was just ending that godforsaken streak like Shoemaker had to do.
Yeah.
And among others, Ellison had to do. Coming up next, the 4 o'clock hour, former Chicago Bears NFL punter, Texas Tech punter, Maury Buford. He'll be in town on Friday for the auction for the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. We'll get into that. He's next on SicEm365 Radio.
Are you in the market for a new home, or are you trying to sell your home? You want to upsize, downsize, whatever you need a realtor in your corner that can guide you through anything you'll encounter. So contact Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty. Let them be your go-to source when you search for that perfect home. Just give them a call, 254-214-3713, or online at lancedonaldson.exprealty.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. And order 30-pound bags of live crawfish by noon on Thursday and pick up on Friday to enjoy the weekend. Live crawfish available right now. And Waco Custom Marketplace doors are open for business Monday through Friday from 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5. And crawfish boil boxes available as well. Make your order for live crawfish by noon on Thursday. Pick up on Friday for the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh kolaches, cinnamon rolls, and baked bread daily. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, and house-cured and smoked bacon. spices, seasonings, soup mixes, charcoal, and lighter fluid. Waco Custom Marketplace. Doors open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday, 10 to 5. 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Hi, this is Tristan Abram, Mahia High School head football coach, and I'm a proud listener and supporter of SicEm365 radio show with David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Dr. Kent Petty wants you to be the highest performance man you want to be. Are you sluggish, lack energy? Do you suffer from low sex drive? Petty Clinic Low T offers discounted comprehensive lab work to check on your various levels that can make a difference. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy and stamina and improved sex drive, but also the healthiest and high performance man. Screening for cardiac heart disease risk, EKG, cholesterol panel, blood pressure monitoring, testosterone or growth hormone deficiency, male infertility, hepatitis C, and prostate cancer screening. Petty Clinic Low T offers replacement therapy for testosterone or growth hormones, weight management therapy, and nutritional advice. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy, stamina, and improved sex drive, but the healthiest and highest performance man. PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com on Old Hewitt Road, just off Highway 84 in Woodward. PettyClinicLowT.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
Yeah, there's that 85 Bears, the shuffle, the Super Bowl shuffle. What a group that was. Maury Buford was on that 85 team. He's from Mount Pleasant, Texas. He was drafted by the San Diego Chargers, played for the Bears, Giants, and then the Bears again to close out his career. Won a Super Bowl championship ring. Texas Tech punter as well. He's going to be a part of the Friday. The Texas Sports Hall of Fame has their big weekend, and they've been able to maintain the time. Bob Lilly, the Golf Classic on Saturday, the auction the night before, and Maury Buford will be here on Friday. He joins us on SicEm365 Radio. Maury, thank you very much. This event, which is obviously a massive fundraiser for the Texas Sports Hall of Fame, who knew, maybe a month or 2 months ago if this would continue to go on. What does it mean to come back and help give back to the Texas Sports Hall of Fame?
Oh, it's a great organization, David, and I'm more than happy to be a part of it. I know that this is the 23rd annual. I've only been involved with it for 3 years now, but it certainly is a great opportunity to get down there and to see people I haven't seen in a long time, and former teammates, and then former opponents, and talk about the old war stories. It's always a great golf tournament, and I'm more than happy to be a small part of it.
You were on the 85 Bears, and just looking up and down that roster, Maury, the state of Texas should get part of that Super Bowl, shouldn't they, between you and Singletary and, some of the other guys you had?
Oh, there's no question about it. There were a lot of Southwest Conference boys on that football team, and a lot of Southern boys. Don't forget Dennis Gentry and Mike Singletary, myself, Dan Hampton, Steve McMichael from the University of Texas. James Manis was a wide receiver from TCU. Reggie Phillips, a defensive back from SMU, intercepted a pass early in the second half and returned it for a touchdown in the Super Bowl. And, Thomas Sanders, running back from Texas A&M, was on that team. There were a lot of Texas boys on there.
My first recollection of Steve McMichael as a member of the Bears, but also as a professional wrestler, me being a fan of that form of entertainment. Was Mongo as crazy as he came across?
Mongo was a crazy man. There's no question about it. Now, when he got out in public, he felt like he had to uphold the persona that everybody had of him. I mean, if you were to be alone with Steve and just be in a conversation with him, he's a great guy. He's a gentle giant. That's what I always called him. But while he was playing, he had a reputation that he had to uphold, and he did it to the utmost.
We have had Dennis Gentry, Singletary. We started this show on SicEm365 Radio back on April the 6th. We've had some of the Bears from that team on, now including you. Did you watch the last dance of the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan?
Absolutely. Yep.
Did you think maybe that at least for 1985 the Bears could have filled a documentary series themselves?
Well, everybody in Chicago would have watched it, that's for sure. But I mean, through the years, with the personalities that we had on that football team, it was a unique group of guys, and it was a very unique team, and the guys loved one another. I mean, the only disappointing thing is that we didn't win more than one, but we did get one.
The team was very colorful, and that started with the coaching staff. When you have Ditka and Buddy Ryan on the same staff, did you guys, did you always kind of feel that energy all the time, that this team was full of personalities, and that was kind of what was going to carry you through the kind of slog of the season that's really hard to win one game in the NFL, much less win the most important one at the end of the year?
Oh, I mean, it was, like I said, the characters that we had on the team, the guys, we played hard, we worked hard, and we played hard off the field too. I mean, it was, we loved one another. We loved spending time with one another, and that's really what it takes, and that's what makes a championship football team is you have to have that chemistry, and you have to love the guys. And, through the years, people always ask me, were you nervous, before the ball games? And I wasn't really nervous about going out in front of the crowd, whatnot. I was always nervous that I was going to let my teammates down, by not playing up to my potential, and that was the thing that motivated me. And I think that motivates every championship football team, that everybody's pulling together for the same, brass ring. And, it made us a special team. There's no question about that.
What was it like being around Walter Payton? I didn't get to see much of his playing career. Obviously, NFL Films has allowed the younger generation to kind of know about Sweetness, but just the man, the personality, and the guy that you got to know as teammates. What were your thoughts on Walter Payton?
Hey, Walter was the greatest football player that I ever saw. Were there running backs that may have been a little more shifty, a little quicker, a little faster, maybe so. But, I mean, as an overall package, Walter was the greatest. He was a great blocker. He could catch the football coming out of the backfield. He was as tough as the day is long. I mean, I took for granted. I mean, I was his teammate and lockered with him, every day during football season, lockered near him, for 6 years. And it wasn't until after my career was over with and several years had gone by that you really realized how fortunate you were, to have played with Walter. He handled his notoriety better than any other professional athlete I've ever seen. And he embraced it, and he enabled his fans to know that he loved them, and he always was there to sign autographs and make special moments with them. He was a great man. We certainly do miss him.
You punted nearly 300 times in your 4 years at Texas Tech. And I would think with the way the game is played today, like last year Texas Tech punted 59 times, and last year's team was kind of hit and miss. But there were probably some teams under Mike Leach and a few others that rarely ever punted. Would you have been bored at times because you didn't get on the field, although that's a good thing if you're not punting?
Yeah, it's a good thing if you're not punting the football. That means that you're scoring points or you're down in the, kicking field goals, down in the opponent's territory. I don't know that I would have been bored. Certainly the Mike Leach teams, the Alex Reyes, who was who was a real good friend of mine and was the punter there at Texas Tech. I remember when Alex came back from his freshman year, he was thinking about transferring because he never did get to play, he never did get to kick. But I mean, that's just a part of it. I mean, as a punter, you're always ready to go out there and help your team, pin the opponent down deep in their own territory every opportunity you have. But if you don't play, then that's a great reflection on the football team too. My rookie year when I was in San Diego with the Chargers, I set an NFL record for the least amount of punts in that season. It was a strike-shortened season also, but I only punted 22 times in 9 football games, in my rookie year. And, you just have to, like I said, as a punter, you don't want to have to be out there, but you're mentally ready to get out there and perform whenever the time is called for.
How did you draw cowbell in the Super Bowl Shuffle video?
Well, we walked into the studio there and everybody's grabbing an instrument or whatever. And I said, I need to stand out here. So, and I've always been a cowbell fan. So I just picked up the cowbell. I said, that's going to be my instrument of choice. Yeah.
Good call.
Did you get yours from Mount Pleasant? I mean, did you have like a ranch or something like that where you got that?
No, I mean, when I was in Mount Pleasant High School, our band was incredible, and they had a march-in, drum cadence that I would put up against any other college football, band, in the nation. And a cowbell was one of the main instruments in the drum cadence. And I don't know. I said, well, I can play the cowbell, so that's why I chose that.
As someone who punts, that's not just something, some guys just get up and thump it. They just got a strong leg and they kick it, but there's an art to it, just like field goal kicking or anything else.
Yeah.
When was the first time you remember maybe punting the football and maybe you turned it over or you realized, man, I could do this for a while?
You know what? You're exactly right, and that's exactly the way it happened with me. I have an older brother. There's actually 7 kids in our family. I'm number 5 of 7, and I had an older brother named Lee. There was a field goal kicker in Mount Pleasant, and I would always go out and shag the footballs for him. I wasn't strong enough to throw them back to him, and I didn't want to take the time to use my heel to kick a thing in the dirt, where you could set it up, a little a tee. So I would hold it in my hands and I would punt it back to him. And you're exactly right. After a while, I was able to turn it over and I go, man, that's pretty cool. And I could always punt it a lot further than I could throw it. And it was just something I always enjoyed doing. And that's what I tell young kids that, that I work with is that you got to enjoy doing it because it's a lot of repetition and a lot of muscle memory, and you have to have enough repetition in there to where it does just become muscle memory and your body takes over. If you're out there on the field thinking about it, then you're not going to be real consistent. That's for sure. But I owe it to my older brother Lee for getting me into punting.
Do you still have the construction business? Are you still doing that and an insurance adjuster? Tell everyone what Marty Buford's doing these days.
Yeah, located here in Grapevine in the Dallas-Fort Worth area with Buford General Contractors. We're general contractors in the area. I mean, we do everything from commercial to residential roof repairs and replacements. We do interior remodeling of bathrooms and kitchens and whatnot. And, gazebos and entertainment centers and people's backyard. We construct those. We do other things too. I mean, as far as we do insulation, we do radiant barrier, we do gutters, we do siding, we do fencing, just a lot of different things.
Mari, thank you. We'll see you this weekend. Thanks for your time. We appreciate you jumping on with us.
Absolutely, David. Thank you for the time, buddy. We'll see you.
As Mari Buford, Mount Pleasant High School, went to Texas Tech, drafted by the Chargers, played with the Bears a couple of different times, 88 Giants as well, and won a Super Bowl ring, that 85 Bears team, which was known for the great defense, the running game, but also remember their special teams was awfully good as well. Now, When we come back, today there was the statement at 2 o'clock that Baylor released that 3 of 59 student-athletes that arrived on campus had tested positive for COVID-19. Mack Rhodes, Baylor's Director of Athletics, will explain next on SicEm365 Radio. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, your home for large, heavy pieces of metal, steel, pipe. That's what they do. And they have since 1943. 77 years they've been in business. That's amazing. You know, sometimes you're a local business, you start off and things were so smooth, and eventually there's just bigger businesses that come into town and they just gobble up things local. No, not with Pioneer Steel and Pipe. One, they have fantastic equipment, great product, and amazing staff. Some that have worked there, well, it seems like generation after generation they have with the Embry family. And also customer service. Now, you may say customer service is important to you. They mean it, and they've proven it now for 77 years. I say this all the time. You can be in business for that long, but you better have whatever you sell better be good, and how you sell it and how you build relationships better be even better. If you're looking for heavy-duty materials, offering, well, like, for example, metal buildings, metal roofing, anything that's going to be heavy and bulky, Pioneer Steel and Pipe's going to help you with that. The fastest turnaround time in the business for metal building orders, and they'll also help you understand the process by helping you, in fact, if you need contractors, reliable contractors along the way. High-quality materials, making sure metal building bids are structurally sound. They bid the right way, and it's built the right way. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, large pipe inventory, giving you options on nice fence or entryways and much more. Open Monday through Saturday. Saturday, they're open 8 until noon. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, locations in Waco and Bryan, pioneerboys.com.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, hot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
So it's time for us to have a talk because obviously your buddies aren't telling you and neither is your woman. You've been driving that truck around, exposing your stuff. It's not only embarrassing, it's disgusting. I'm talking about full frontal truck nudity, and it's time for you to do something about it with a grill guard or a front-end replacement bumper from Pickup Outfitters. There are lots of good reasons to get a grill guard, like when Bambi decides to cross the road at the same time you're occupying it. But the best reason is that no one wants to see your junk up in your grill. Pickup Outfitters on Lake Erie Drive carries all the major brands of grill guards, including Ranch Hand, Cattleman, and even the Renegade brand made right here in Waco. And every grill guard we sell comes with our lifetime installation guarantee and no-worry warranty program. Won't you help us end truck nudity? Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco. Check out our grill guards on our website at createacommotion.com/guards. createacommotion.com/guards.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhodes, is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
SicEm365 Radio most every Tuesday around this time. Director of Athletics at Baylor University. Always great to have Mack Rhodes with us. Paul Craig, David Smoke, SicEm365 Radio. So the good afternoon. The statement comes out, and you said this before. It's not if, but when you have players or student athletes test positive. 59 student athletes, 3 of them test positive. How do you, what's the reaction to that? And is that really actually a number that's better than you thought?
Yeah. So good afternoon, and great to be with you all. And I think the number, there's probably been across the country when you think about 59. There's probably been some schools that have had a higher number than just 3, whatever that percentage is, 3 of 59, and there may have been a handful with less. So it's probably where we thought it was, and maybe the better way to answer it is maybe a sense of relief that there isn't more or weren't more, and again still going through the testing process, still onboarding. Right, we have another group of football student athletes onboarding today, and then we'll have another group on Thursday. So we'll know more and hope that there are pray for no positive cases, and if there are, we'll handle accordingly. So, but the process has gone well. I think our response team has done a great job. We obviously had a plan and had talked through all of this, and there's a 75-page plan on how to handle this. We had conversation meeting on Sunday to just go through everything and make sure that we were absolutely 100% prepared. And when we learned of the positives, right, of the 3, 2 are asymptomatic. So grateful for that. 1 was symptomatic with mild symptoms. So again, grateful for that. And now you go forward with the plan, right? Those individuals are in isolation, right? Self-isolation, and then the whole contact tracing piece of it, and knowing that we had a handful of primary contacts, and those primary contacts have to be tested and then followed up with an additional test, and they need to self-quarantine for 14 days after, that beginning that day of exposure, when we identify that day. And then, you're looking at any secondary contacts, and with secondary contacts, you're self-monitoring. So, again, making sure that we work the plan, and making sure that student athletes and staff understand that they have a responsibility, as we talked about in the release, not just to protect themselves, but to care for others, right? The quickest way for all of this is to spread is for, student athletes to head out to restaurants, to bars, to go to parties, right? You have one person that's infected, and now all of a sudden you've got 20 additional. And so just making sure that we all, myself included, do a great job of being responsible. So apologize for the long answer.
No, that's good.
Yeah. How much were you guys able to kind of take from other places and other schools that started earlier, other conferences, so that you could maybe learn from their mistakes or see what they did that worked and then apply it? And not like you had a whole lot of time to do that either.
Yeah, I think that, the plan itself, the medical plan, is something that, I think we've been out in front of for a long time. We've got great doctors. Again, I continue to mention Kenny's name and our health and wellness team. And so I thought, we have been, again, out in front and I think really proactive in terms of the plan, the 70-page document, et cetera. I think, some of the other schools going before us, right, in some of the hardships that they've endured, those have been maybe a dose of reality for all of us. Maybe, again, reminding us that this is serious and that we need to take it serious, and we need to have a plan, and we need to make sure that, you can have a plan, but if you don't execute it and execute it at a high level, why even have a plan? So making sure that just we're really, really attentive to our plan and the details, and then knowing that, you can have this great plan, you can execute it right, but you're counting on a lot of people to execute it at a high level. You're counting on all your student athletes to do it, all your staff to do it. And so we still have a long road to go, right? We've now onboarded, 59 of approximately 500 student athletes. So still a lot ahead of us, and we're going to continue to do the very best we can to do this at a really high level.
Mac, I don't know how much of a question this is, as much as it's just something I thought of, but we probably wouldn't know about how many positives of players, student athletes walking around across the country if not for these schools testing. I mean, very good chance that the three who were testing positive, in normal circumstances might have been just walking around their communities or campus, but this testing, I think, is certainly helping in us identifying and trying to stop the spread in some ways.
Yeah, I certainly think it is. And, I've said this before. I mean, I feel like, this whole idea of protecting yourself, right, but also caring for others. I think we have a responsibility to care for others and not, add to the spread of the disease. And that's, as we all know, that's really hard to do, especially when there's so many with COVID-19 that are asymptomatic. And so to be able to identify, to be able to know, and just have a better understanding of what you're dealing with, I think is helpful for everybody.
The statistics that are out there, and obviously there are some flare-ups around the country, but it appears as if you guys have a grasp on this, and you've talked and spoken with us about this. I mean, from the time everything was shut down, it seems, I'm not saying it's flawless, but it seems as if you really, and you said everybody has to be on board with this, you guys have been prepared for this about as much as anything you could do.
And thank you for saying that. I think we've taken it seriously. I think we've got really thoughtful and talented people involved. We have certainly spent hours and hours and hours and hours of planning and communicating. The minute you pat yourself on the back, right, is the next minute all of a sudden, you're dealing with all of these issues and crises. And so, I'm cautious about saying we've done this at a level as good as you can do it, but I do feel good about just the thought and the expertise and the work that's gone into it. I think we've set the tone that this is serious, that we are going to do everything we can
to protect others, to protect individuals, and make sure that when we have positives, right, or that when we have crisis, we have a plan and we're ready to handle it.
Mac Rhodes, Director of Athletics at Baylor, with us on SicEm365 Radio.
Mac, this might be the last time we get to ask you an Ole Miss question, so I'll just go ahead and do it. The game officially moved to Sunday, and that was kind of leaked out a few weeks ago, but what went into that decision? And here you are. You have an opening game kind of alone, pretty much all alone for both Baylor and Ole Miss in the opening weekend.
Yeah, so I missed the announcement on Sunday, but I certainly heard about it, and if you wouldn't have brought it up, I certainly would have before we ended this segment. But I think it's an opportunity to showcase Baylor University first and foremost, and then certainly Baylor athletics and our football program. And right now, I think the way it's playing out is it's going to be the only game on Sunday, only college football game Sunday. I know that they didn't announce time or the exact platform, linear station, I believe, but we wouldn't have agreed to do it and to move it back a day if we were planning on playing it at 10 a.m. in the morning, right? So we think that there'll be a great opportunity and a lot of eyeballs throughout the country, watching the game and what a great first game for Coach Aranda, and we'll do the best we can to be prepared against a really formidable opponent.
Mac, what's it been like? And I don't know how much you've been able to interact at all, but just knowing that student athletes are back on campus or having seen them around, what's it like just to have that given the circumstances of the last few months?
Yeah, I mean it's refreshing to have them back. And again, Craig, it's every conversation we have is muted with this caution, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's not normal circumstances, and as excited as we are to have them back and to begin again, right? Just knowing, and I think I said it last show, COVID-19, when you talk about an opponent, a formidable opponent, COVID-19 is a formidable opponent. And so just, again, excited to see them, excited to get started, but just wanting to make sure that, we can do it the very best way we can, not just with football, but with all of our, every one of our student athletes. And so we're just, as I mentioned, we're just at the start of the race. We're just beginning. And we'll just take every day, one day at a time, and deal with it, as best we can.
Without naming a program or names, and everyone knows what's been in the news, but is it up to each of your coaches to understand the room, to know what they're doing because they're in positions of leadership?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it goes back to, I'm not, the athletic director's not, the senior associate athletic director is not in charge of that specific program. It's the head coach, and they set the tone, they set the culture, right? We talk about it all the time. It's not going to be important to the student athlete if it's not important to the head coach, right? So all of those things, yeah, absolutely. The coach has got to be the leader, has got to set the tone, has got to lead not just by words, but more importantly, with his or her actions, and as do I, as do all of us.
Mac, anything else, Paul? All right, so 3 out of 59 student athletes today or at least you released that today. And I thought the number, you never know. It could have been 12. It could have been 6. But what's kind of amazing, I guess, is that that's 1/10 of the number, or close to 1/10 of the number of athletes you still have coming. How long will it be before all athletes will be on campus?
I would say certainly no sooner than August 1, and it could, trickle in and, spring sports, right, potentially, could trickle in after August 1. Again, this is going to be a slow process, and after every stage, or every phase, we're going to sit and we're going to, let the response team, and certainly I'll be part of it, just review and assess how that went, and are we ready to go onto the next phase. And that won't be a decision made by one singular individual. It won't be driven by me. It won't be driven by a head coach, but it'll be driven by a group of us together. And I think that's, the best way to do that. And so again, long process. We mentioned in the release that we plan to just to provide a weekly update. So once a week, we'll provide an update. We think, that's important in terms of our community for them to know and understand. We won't ever mention individual names and talk about specific individuals, but we'll continue to notify the public as to what we're doing and how we're doing it.
Mac, I had a couple of people ask me this, so I wanted to ask you while we have the chance, how wide-ranging is the testing as far as we know student athletes are being tested, but what about peripheral staff, coaches, things like that?
Yeah, it's a great question, and there's a lot of factors that go into that, Craig. From a human resources standpoint, can we or can we not force staff to be tested? Those are the conversations that we're having, right? We're right in the middle of it. Football staff has not returned yet, and won't return, until, probably a week or two before summer required activity begins. We don't know when that begins. We'll know tomorrow. We believe that the Division I Council tomorrow will vote on it, make a decision. We expect it to be July 13th. So if you're thinking about July 13th, and maybe football staff, arrives right after 4th of July, that 4th of July weekend. And so I think it's a good idea. I think we all think it's a good idea for our staff to be tested if we're testing student athletes. And so that's the direction we'd like to go, but haven't finalized that yet.
One more thing. I know that the governor has mentioned about the percentage or capacity of stadiums. If, in fact, it's 50%, how do you go about distributing which 50% gets to attend the game?
It's a great question. And, there are certainly programs out there where their season ticket holder number exceeds 50% capacity of their stadium. For us, Baylor, we're probably right at that 50%.
Right.
And so it's something that we're going to have to closely look at, right? And then, so if it is 50%, does that mean there are no single game ticket sales, right? That certainly is that 50% would apply to your student attendance as well. So, I think I've mentioned, we all have, not just Baylor, but we all have anticipated, that there could be a reduction in fan capacity. And then Baylor specific, we've been working on, 25% capacity, 50% capacity, 75% capacity models. Certainly not in their final draft form, but close to it. So, if it stays at the 50%, we'll have to navigate that and really think hard about, how we do that, particularly with single game tickets, if we can do anything at all.
Mac, thank you as always for the time on Tuesdays. We appreciate it. This is a day where the information came out clockwork at 2:00, and thank you for discussing all of it and how you went about it with the protocol and going forward. Mac Rhodes, Director of Athletics at Baylor University. Thanks, Mac.
Thank you all.
So, I think a lot of good information there. I was curious about the staff and how they're going to do that, but now we know that the staff's not back yet. I mean, it seems that they're, in Waco for the most part, but still, a ways to go. That's still about another month off the kind of pegged date that he had as far as, the 2 weeks before they would start activity. So, this is week one, really, of this process, and we have a few more to go to figure out just what this is going to look like.
So if you have 50% capacity and you have 20-some thousand, I don't know how many season ticket holders, your stadium seats 45, right? 43, 44, 45. I know there's a specific number. Please don't tweet it at me.
It's like 45, and then they had the ability if they, sold tickets well enough.
Right.
Remember Ian McCaw said they could expand it 10,000 more, but
then there's the berm, and then you have 10,000 or so students, the freshmen, the line. It'll be interesting how to navigate. It will also be interesting how people are patient, if they're patient.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to take 50% and you have more than 50% capacity season tickets, and then that does not include the students. You're going to have your feelings hurt in some cases.
Yeah.
And the students will be curious too because, there's so much information out there, but it does appear as though maybe those in their 20s are, maybe more susceptible to right now being some of the root reason for why we're seeing these spikes once again. And I think we've seen all the activity around the country. We'd be foolish to not think that everybody in such close proximity with each other by the tens of thousands did not cause some spread. But I think just people feeling, oh, well, I'm in my 20s, I'm good. They, everybody's saying that it's only if you have no, it's not necessarily only if you have underlying issues. So I think that we're kind of getting back to that mode of not a lockdown, but we got to be smart. And with students in particular, they seem like they could be kind of susceptible just to lifestyles they lead to maybe spreading it quicker.
There's a lot of things.
When we come back, Mike Gundy has issued an apology.
I've got it. We're ready to go.
Some people are saying it looks like another hostage video.
It does.
Another forced video. It's on teleprompter. We'll see if we can come back with that at 5 o'clock today. David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. Right now they are overloaded with used cars and trucks, over 100 in stock. They've got a lot of work to do to try and move these pre-owned vehicles, and that includes over 25 used trucks, all in stock at discounted prices. They've also got luxury style and power in a new SUV. That is, if you are checking out the Cadillac line, they've got the XT4, XT5, or the 7-passenger Cadillac XT6. Experience the thrill of owning a Cadillac XT4 right now for only $35,900 at Richard Carr Cadillac. They've also got the perfect crossover SUV with the quiet ride, the Buick Encore. It's also got a roomy interior, safety features packed in there, and the latest technology. Right now, Buick Encore can be yours for only $19,900. It means you save $6,000 on a 2020 Buick Encore. You get great prices, free oil changes with a purchase, and in-town priority warranty service, all with your purchase at Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, and they are the people you can count on. A local family dealer run by Baylor Bear alumni. They want the chance to earn your business, so stop by the disinfected showroom and see their safety-focused staff, where they can bring the test drive to you and the comfort of your home, because your comfort and safety is their first priority. Find them at Richard Carr, KARR.com, or Highway 6 at the Imperial Exit.
This is Waco, and this is Boozer's Jewelers. When locals want luxurious jewelry and at a competitive price, they come here. This is Brad Boozer. He's the owner of Boozer's Jewelers. Boozer's is the premier wedding ring store. They specialize in loose diamonds and wedding rings. At Boozer's, they have 7 jewelry counters dedicated to wedding rings and diamonds only. They also specialize in heirloom jewelry, custom jewelry, watches, and much, much more. So what are you waiting for? Stop on in today and discover why the locals trust Boozer's for their jewelry.
Why did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
These make a great pair. Each are phenomenal bargains from Allen Samuels. The new 2020 Jeep Cherokee and new 2019 Dodge Journey. Save thousands now as we drive forward into summer. Journey, the great American crossover with third row seating, just $16,995 for select qualified buyers. And the Go Anywhere Jeep Cherokee, just $29.90 and eligible for first responder $500 bonus cash. Journey, Jeep Cherokee, summer bargains from Allen Samuels.
Ask for details. Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line. At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of health care has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, so yesterday one of the biggest stories that came down was a picture of Mike Gundy on a fishing trip at Lake Texoma. Probably caught a bunch of, I don't know, bass, striper, whatever it might be, both. So he had this OAN shirt on. It's a network. It's a television. Is it a news network?
Yes.
Okay. I've never watched it. Perhaps I've skipped by it or seen it. And he took a lot of heat for it. And then the Oklahoma State star running back Chuba Hubbard, and many others. And then here comes a video, he and Chuba Hubbard. Was that enough? Was that enough for you guys, or that what Mike Gundy did? Or
apology videos don't do much for me in the
met
first
with some
place,
maybe players.
I mean, I wasn't asking for anything, so he didn't need to do anything for me. But for his players, I mean, I guess he did enough to calm the storm for right now. There's a little chirping that was going on that looked like it could have had the potential to get really ugly for him. But, by the time I got back home last night, within an hour or so, this was all smoothed over and the video was out there, even if Chuba looked uncomfortable and whatnot. But, I think that they were able to get past the point where that could have gotten really bad for Oklahoma State and for Mike Gundy. So that's good news for him. I don't think, just in my opinion that, that all of a sudden that I'm going to believe he's some racist, ultra-conservative, this and that guy because of the TV network that he watches. But a lot of people seem to make those judgments, and clearly it was something that, had some backstory to it and rubbed the wrong people the wrong way. So, from my viewpoint, I think he's done enough, but we will see because his actions are going to be what determine that.
This is, again, just me. I'm tired of forced apologies, and I'm tired of apologies being critiqued based on still what you want. You ask somebody to apologize, and then you want to critique whether or not you like it. And that's not it. That happens. And I think that, so yesterday you have the video of he and Hubbard And it did look awkward.
Mm-hmm.
So then, okay, so he's come out. This is 1 minute. This is Oklahoma State head football coach Mike Gundy.
How that network felt about Black Lives Matter. I was disgusted and knew it was completely unacceptable to me. I want to apologize to all members of our team.
I mean, so there you go. I mean, it does sound like a thing that they did.
He read that off a teleprompter, but
yeah.
you know what? He probably almost felt like, okay, I need to make sure I say something here, and I don't want to, like, if he starts talking ad lib, which he could do before a game, a speech, a halftime, whatever, but practice, he does that for a living. He's probably a great motivational speaker, but it's some things maybe he felt like he had to just write it down. And
I'm not critiquing the apology here, but I will say this. If he watches OAN as much as he says that he did, which was the quote we read yesterday, that he loves it and he says it's unbiased and all these things, why would he be shocked to know that they don't like Black Lives Matter? Because it's apparently a frequent thing on their network. That's what Chuba Hubbard's mad about.
A frequent thing? We've
again,
seen one or two anchors say something about, I'm not saying they aren't.
Yeah.
Apparently they're very much so.
Yeah.
But we've seen videos of one or two anchors saying, or columnists or analysts saying things about Black Lives Matter that are disgusting. I can watch, whether you watch CNN or you watch Fox or you watch ABC or you watch MSNBC. I could not tell you whichever network that is, and I basically don't watch any of them. I'm sick of all of them. I could not tell you who's had an opinion negatively or positively about Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, or anyone. Yeah. I don't watch 24 hours a day. In fact, I hate watching it.
No, I was just saying that if they're going to craft
he
this
may
whole...
not. Okay, he says he watches it a lot. He maybe watches like it's in the background, like I do.
But
not OAN, but anything.
I'm just saying that's why he's going to get raked over the coals for this one, because it's two different things that he said.
So now he's going to have to come up with another video.
I hope not, but
I wish he could have just, that's one of those things that we don't understand the pressure that he's put on himself because of something he did that he could have avoided. And so perhaps somebody wrote it for him. Maybe he wrote it for him. That was on teleprompter.
Well, a big part of the problem for, your whole thing about the anchors and that, I agree. I don't tend to know each anchor by their names, nor do I care to. I do try to inform myself and watch things, but I mostly read things because there's typically a little bit less bias than in just watching and hearing, a figure talk. But, I do try to find the actual information and not so much the opinion and the spin and the twist that's put on it by these quote-unquote media members who make up the majority of the media these days. I mean, again, I'll go back to them being as much a part of the problem as anything. But I will say, though, about OAN, I've never watched a second of it in my life. And I may never, for all I know. I don't even know where it is or if I even have it on my TV stations at my place. But I have seen where if you are looking on social media, which seems to be a lot of people never take a break from social media, and that's their lives, then you've probably seen the president or his son talk about the network in tweets and mention it and talk about how great it is. And so, just because you don't pay, and I'm not talking about you specifically, but just because you don't pay attention to it and therefore it doesn't exist in your world, for those who do pay attention to it, that's very much a thing. And so those are the people obviously speaking out right now. But yeah, the Trumps have been complimentary of the network and social media that I've seen. So I guess that just, aids to the feelings about the network, and obviously some of their reporting has been a bit off at times or questionable at best. I just go off of what I've read, but yeah, I don't know anything about OAN outside of that.
I've been told this didn't play. I'm recording it a different way, and we can play it again in a second. Just I need to.
Oh, it didn't play over
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why is it doing that? You know,
I don't know. The setting appears right, so I'm not sure. So
okay, sorry for the 1 minute of dead air. We'll try to get that set up again with Mike Gundy's apology. It was 1 minute. It was
very much that he was reading off of a piece of paper to talk about his players and their feelings on Black Lives Matter, and henceforth he will do everything in his power to not. I mean, it's basically what you missed, and you'll hear it in a second. But that's basically what it was.
For those who want blood, for those who are, no matter what, not allowing if someone makes a mistake to make up for their mistake, they're going to find fault with it. For those who understand people make mistakes, even if they're stupid mistakes, you might say, okay, that's fine, go prove it. I would rather Mike Gundy go prove it to his team on the recruiting trail, to however he can do whatever he does in Stillwater, Oklahoma, rather than send a 1 minute typed apology. I'm not going to sit there and critique the apology.
Oh, I'm not critiquing it. I'm just saying that's what it sounded like. That
It sounded
very robotic.
like it was very robotic.
Very
It was
stunted, and it wasn't off the cuff. And that's fine. I don't care about what he had to say or his apology. It's
Why
not
did he
affecting
have
me.
to say that? Why did he even have to do that?
Well, because maybe it was one of those demands from the players. I have no idea. I think that we are just such a fragile society right now when it comes to everything. And, I could go so much further on that and get down in the mud on the politics. I don't want to do that, though, because that's not what we're here for, and I don't care to get into those discussions. But I just think in general, regardless of political parties and all that, we are just very fragile people who get our feelings hurt very easily. And I'm not speaking on any subject specifically, but just in general.
Okay, here we go. Here's the 1 minute from Mike Gundy.
I had a great meeting with our team today. Our players expressed their feelings as individuals and as team members. They helped me see through their eyes how the T-shirt affected their hearts. Once I learned how that network felt about Black Lives Matter, I was disgusted and knew it was completely unacceptable to me. I want to apologize to all members of our team, former players, and their families for the pain and discomfort that has been caused over the last 2 days. Black Lives Matter to me. Our players matter to me. These meetings with our team have been eye-opening and will result in positive changes for Oklahoma State football. I sincerely hope the Oklahoma State family, near and far, will accept my humble apology as we move forward.
Okay.
I mean, there it was. I don't think nobody wants to do those things, or if you want to, it probably wouldn't.
Why do you think he did it? Well, it's 5 o'clock. We got to come back. David Hellman.
Recruiting. That's why.
You mean to tell me that's going to make a difference in a kid's living room?
No, I absolutely don't. But
a T-shirt apparently made a huge difference to a kid.
Yeah.
So I mean, sure it might. But he's doing that because he's caving. He had to do that. I mean, people wanted an apology, and he gave an apology.
David Hellman, Dallas Cowboys. We'll get back to this and take some calls in the late part of the 5 o'clock hour at 254-339-1122. Coming up, David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com. Have you ever thought about how great it would feel a month or 6 months or a year from now if you weighed less and were in better shape and more fit than you are today? Think about that. Words can't explain the confidence I have because of what I've experienced and what I continue to experience every day at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness. I promise if you join today, you'll thank me later. Offering a variety of different classes, over 40 of them every single week, including boot camp on Tuesday and Thursday mornings. And there's free daycare. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday 5 to 10, Friday 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday 7 to 7. Contact personal trainers Christy London or Randall Corley and let them make you feel better about yourself. Also, world-class tennis facility with Pro Britt Coleman and Director of Adult Tennis Fitness and Special Events Joe Rosa. A spacious, clean, and sanitized workout room, no intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an all-new atmosphere that will make you love doing burpees. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Texas Board Certified Personal Injury Trial Lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with David Hellman of DallasCowboys.com.
Prescott going to keep it all. What a zone read. Look at Dak Prescott with room to roll. Prescott still going down to the 20.
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones and financial advisor Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
David Ellman, DallasCowboys.com, joins us on SicEm365 Radio. David, thank you so much for your time. We had today the announcement Baylor had 59 student athletes tested. 3 of them tested positive, 1 symptomatic, 2 asymptomatic. It's every campus around America. Some numbers are higher than others. And then you had the story about the Cowboys and the Zeke Elliott name that pops up. What was that to kind of like wrap your arms around yesterday?
Yeah, that's a great way to characterize it, because you're sort of trying to figure, wrap your arms around it and make logic of it. I said yesterday, I think, anything you're trying to reopen, you got to assume some positive tests are going to be part of it. Like, this thing's not just going to magically disappear. But it is, it's disheartening, at least in college, obviously you don't want it, but it makes sense that all these athletes are getting back together. In the Cowboys' case, you've got guys testing positive before they reopen the facility, which, people accuse me of being glass half empty, and maybe I am, but if guys are testing positive before they're even all together, what's it going to be like when you've got 90 guys sharing a locker room? It's just kind of a reminder of how challenging this is all going to be.
David, it was kind of weird that Zeke, he tweeted out that, like, his agent confirmed it and the story was already written. Why does his agent just not confirm it?
Great question. I would guess maybe simply because of the amount of people that were beating down his door about it. And maybe better to give a statement on what's actually happening as opposed to let people run wild with speculation. But yeah, the only reason that this is confirmed, as far as I'm aware, is because Rocky Arsenault confirmed it to NFL Network. So, like I said, I guess at some point maybe you just rip the Band-Aid off and clear it up rather than let people speculate. But yeah, if there is a HIPAA violation or any type of violation, it's kind of nullified by the fact that your agent is talking about it to the media.
What does this do to the return of the NFL, or at least the return of eventual workouts in Frisco? Does it dampen it? Does it kind of tap the brakes, or does it affect it at all?
I don't think it slows anything down, not this at any rate. The information that we have, Zeke is supposedly asymptomatic. His agent and his mother have both publicly said that he's feeling fine, he doesn't have any symptoms. I don't think it changes anything about what they're going to do because, like I said, you kind of have to brace yourself for the possibility of positive tests. I think that's just going to happen. So I don't think it changes what they're going to try to do, but like I said, it just kind of underscores how challenging this is going to be because guys are, being exposed to it, and that's before you put 90 people in the same room, and that's before those guys all go home and interact with, whatever friends and family they're allowed to see on top of their teammates. I just think it's going to be really challenging. I didn't need Zeke to test positive for COVID to know that, but it just kind of emphasizes it.
Yeah, David, I think it's going to get really, and we're probably going to see this at least somewhere on some level where there's going to be, instead of 2 or 3 guys, there's going to be a legit outbreak on a team where your roster is going to be compromised in that, you might have 15 guys that are now all, quarantined.
And every time I talk about it or think about it, I think about a wrinkle that I hadn't considered. And yeah, that's absolutely fair. And then, we've talked about it on y'all's show before. What does the media look like? Are we at risk to being exposed, or are we putting the players at risk? Or really not just media, anybody that comes in contact. Football players spend more time with their trainers than most people spend with their families. And, are those guys going to have to be quarantined from their families to be able to accommodate the needs of the players? Probably say the same thing about the equipment staff. It's a mess when you really think about all the different layers to it. And I think I've said before, I don't envy the people that have to try to come up with a smart plan to make it all work because it's hard to think about it being completely feasible, to be honest with you.
The Hall of Fame game, the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which is set for August the 8th, obviously Jimmy Johnson, among others, that were supposed to be there. And some of the guys are going to be inducted we've had on this show in the last couple of months. It appears as if the Ohio governor has said now that game is unlikely. That's not a surprise to me. But your thoughts about just that story in itself?
Very similar. It's just kind of, verbal confirmation of what I think we all already thought. And I'm, it's hard to pinpoint exactly what everything's going to look like. It's still almost 2 months away. But I think everybody's kind of had the thought that at the very least, playing a full preseason, including a Hall of Fame game, which is an extra preseason game anyway, I think most people would probably agree that doesn't seem overly realistic. So, it's not a surprise to hear him say that, although I'll be interested to see just how different things are in 60 days when you think about, how much we've learned in such a short amount of time during this entire process.
David, is there anything going on with the Cowboys other than this? It's got to be kind of monotonous for you covering them every day.
Yeah, well,
fortunately, June is typically a dead period anyways. I mean, people in the league, this is when you try to fit in your vacation time and unplug for a little bit. So it's kind of normal in the sense, if this was a normal year, minicamp would be winding down and everything would be about to be dead anyway. So it's not that far out of the realm of what we're used to, but, with the lockdown and, the facilities aren't functioning the way that they normally do, I'm still not going into the office. So it makes it a little more monotonous than usual. And I was joking with my boss yesterday, like, I feel guilty about how unproductive I am, but at the same time, there's way more important stuff going on, and eventually it'll fire up like it always does. Who knows what it's going to look like, but at some point things will be going and we'll just be as busy as we usually are. So, trying to, I guess, enjoy it as much as I can until something pops off, because that, the minute you let your guard down and assume that it's going to be boring is when something crazy happens.
Well, and I said this yesterday, and one of our listeners, he wasn't offended by it, but he was like, man, you're not being fair to Zeke. It couldn't have been anybody but him, right? As far as the amount of attention the story got, and then to add Zeke's name to it.
Yeah, and I mean, that's fair. I don't want to be unfair to Zeke. I know some people on Twitter were being jerks talking about how him and Dak had that party. I mean, that was in freaking March, and supposedly this test happened last week. So it's unfair to to assume that he's not following the rules or any of that stuff. But at the same time, I agree with you. It's kind of like Murphy's Law. Like anything anything bad that can happen will. Like a guy, logic just says that if it's the Dallas Cowboys, Ezekiel Elliott's probably going to be in the headline, whether that's fair or not.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it. As you said, it's June. Thanks for your time. We appreciate David Hellman, DavidHellman, I love watching his timeline. And he can say things in a sentence or two, and it doesn't take a column, although he can write too. Like one of these, this is earlier today. Much like the Dak debate, you cannot force me to do the Eli Romo thing in June of 2020. I refuse. Thank you for reading.
I wanted to pass this along for those who may have missed it yesterday, but Zeke's mom has a Twitter account. A lot of Cowboys fans might know that, but she actually was responding to a couple of tweets yesterday about the news. And so Cowboys reporter had said that Zeke was asymptomatic and was doing well, and she quoted that and said, his sister and I tested negative. We were around someone who tested positive 3 days after we were with them, which is why we were tested. You can be walking around with it and never know because you have zero symptoms. Chew on that for a bit. So that was from Zeke's mom. And then, Twitter's so nosy. So somebody was like asking, I guess, what he was doing or whatever, and she ended up responding, it was a dinner with 8 guests total, but I'm going to let Karen throw his shade. So she was talking about the person who I guess had taken a shot, but she had said that the person that they had come across who was positive was one of 8 guests at a dinner. And she also said on Zeke, he's very well. He has no symptoms. He wouldn't even know he had it had he not gotten tested, which is the scary part about this, obviously.
Right.
And then she said, I realize there's a good number of y'all who could care less about my status as I'm not getting first downs and scoring touchdowns. However, I am a type 2 diabetic and really don't care to get COVID. So that was all from Zeke's mom.
All right. A lot of you have been in touch with us with the Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line. Carl, TJ, Leon, 314, Matt, among others. We're going to come back and take your calls. Paul, are we ready for that? Yep. 254-339-1122, 254-339-1122. Once again, it's 254-339-1122. The Riverbend Liquor and text line's available. The Willis Law Firm is open as well. The chat room is open, the Willis Law Firm chat room. You can contact us by that. You can contact Craig, Twitter, at Craig Smoke, at Paul Catalina, at David Smoke, and we'll read that or answer your tweets as well. Love to get your feedback on the phone lines at 254-339-1122. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. And order 30-pound bags of live crawfish by noon on Thursday and pick up on Friday to enjoy the weekend. Live crawfish available right now, and Waco Custom Marketplace doors are open for business Monday through Friday from 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5. And crawfish boil boxes available as well. Make your order for live crawfish by noon on Thursday, pick up on Friday for the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh kolaches, cinnamon rolls, and baked bread daily. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, and house-cured and smoked bacon. Spices, seasonings, soup mixes, charcoal, and lighter fluid. Waco Custom Marketplace, doors open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneeredboys.com.
Ram, a legend of loyalty. Alan Samuels, legendary customer loyalty. Now bringing you special Ram pricing to kick off summer. Pick the perfect Ram 1500 regular cab with special incentives, including $500 additional first responder bonus cash. Now just $22,990. Or pick up a loaded up new Ram 2500 HD Limited 4x4, the Motor Trend Truck of the Year. Now with up to $12,000 in savings. Drive forward. Ram from Alan Samuels.
In great times or tough times, you always feel better working with someone who's there for you. When it comes to great banking, people here count on the First National Bank of Central Texas, here to help you, your family, and your business. Personal banking via phone, desktop, tablet, and drive-through. And business banking tailored for all situations, including yours. Amazing tomorrows from the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
This is SicEm365 Radio. The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
We'll have John McClain at the bottom of the hour, Houston Chronicle. 254-339-1122 is the number to call. Brought to you by Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Paul.
Stephen from Richmond is on with us right now. Stephen, you there? Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
yes, sir.
absolutely.
Go ahead. Thanks for the call, Stephen. Yeah, you make a good point, Craig. We'll start with you.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, Stephen, really appreciate you being on with us, and hope to hear from you again. But I was reading some of the player tweets from yesterday, and I forget who it was now, but one of them in like a whole chain of like 5 or 6 messages broke down how of all these offers we keep hearing about, they're all nearly identical. And he basically broke down how, what the owners are doing right now is calculated. That Rob Manfred is basically setting it up. We're going to have this, and now, wait, no, we're not. And he's basically toying with the players in some ways. But today, here in the last hour or two, 8 or more owners reportedly. This is courtesy of Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic. 8 or more owners are against playing a 2020 season after failed negotiations on terms including financial payouts to players and the number of games. Any vote to play in 2020 will require a 75% approval rate out of the 30 owners. So if you're already taking about 8 out of that 30, you're getting dangerously close to not being able to have enough for that 75%.
Yeah, Smokey, read that tweet. Well, we still have Steven on. The tweet I gave you earlier from the agent.
Oh.
I printed it out for you.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Yeah, you had that just a little while ago.
I know.
Yeah.
Paul, your thoughts while we wait.
But
I got it. One of the things I saw, and I'm going to kind of paraphrase what I read about Rob Manfred. There's certain people that walk into businesses that when a business, they're called, they're cost cutting. They're called, they're
Turks.
Huh?
The Turks, right?
Yeah, they walk into a business, and when you see them there, people are about to get fired, and they have no soul. That doesn't mean that they aren't good people, but you have to have a certain personality to know every time you walk into a business that you're firing somebody. Mm-hmm. And there are people very good at it. I'm not saying that's so much Rob Manfred, but the point is Rob Manfred is got a legal background. And he is really good about not caring how you feel.
Yeah, I think that's pretty clear.
And, to say that he was 100% positive or whatever it was last week, that there's going to be a season, and a week later it's a complete disaster, I still cannot comprehend. Stephen, thanks for the call. 254-339-1122. That line is open right now on any topic we've had the last, couple of hours, but also in recent days as well. I still can't imagine baseball is this stupid. I cannot imagine baseball is this ignorant to sit there and think that they can survive no season. If coronavirus was the reason it was shut down, they could survive because people would understand that's a great excuse. Now they're trying to give you figures about coronavirus and players testing positive. That's not the excuse. The excuse is they're ignorant, they're arrogant, and they really don't give a damn about you, the fan. All right, here's the agent, Joe Wolf, Major League Baseball owners crying poverty. This is a great quote, Paul. Thank you. The Marlins played without fans for 15 years, yet still managed to give a player the biggest contract in sports history, Giancarlo Stanton, and then sold the team for $1 billion profit with 5 competing buyers.
Yeah.
Did the owners really want the games to be played?
I don't think that they do, because I think if they don't, then they can do all these things and cut some budgets and do all the things that they want to do. And it may not be all the owners. It may just be a big enough chunk of them to where the owners are going to be in lockstep.
Our buddy Leon, I told you they're a bunch of dumbasses.
Yeah.
Leon,
I think they are being dumbasses. Yeah. I totally agree. And going back to one of the points made there in that call about there's no Sosa McGuire, I've said that myself a couple of times. I mean, look, baseball was dead to rights in the late 90s with just the post-lockout feel, and the game itself was on the downslope. And here come these big, and we knew it at the time, juiced up, home run hitters, and pitchers hated it, but fans loved it. Chicks dig the long ball, all that good stuff. And it made baseball the most talked about sport in the world. And it has not been the most talked about sport one time since then, unless the World Series was the only thing on TV. So it was by default. So, they absolutely got rescued during that time period. And, now it's maybe not so much the players who are juiced, it's the balls themselves. But to think that they're going to have some type of baseball revolution like they did in, the late 90s, I think is the odds of that aren't good. And so what's going to happen to where you not only get back to playing, and I saw it was like the Yankees management had said this is about the coronavirus now. It's like, come on, are you kidding me?
It's kind of like all of a sudden the coronavirus is back because all the rioting and all the looting and all the demonstrations have slowed down. Now there's got to be something.
Well, we got to be scared of something, but there is truth to the uptick. But yeah, absolutely. So it's crazy to me.
Paul?
Yeah, we got Matt in D.C.
Yeah, I'm glad Matt called because he said he heard something from a former Florida Marlins owner with Pat McAfee's show. How you doing? Great to have you, Matt. We're doing great.
I'm definitely going to, Matt. And thanks for your call. I'm glad that we finally got you on this time.
Yeah.
I feel a great sense of accomplishment.
Thank you.
Matt.
That's Matt and Steven.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Can we send Chick-fil-A available for Matt and Steven?
Yeah, no,
appreciate
I'll
them
take
being
care of that.
on.
And I want to get to a couple of texts, and then we got John McClain in about 5 minutes or so.
I just wanted to quote one quote that I've seen over the last 24 hours or so, and that was that players are disgusted about what's going on right now. The MLBPA not happy at all. Executive Director Tony Clark, players are disgusted, and I won't go through the whole thing, but any implication the Players Association has somehow delayed progress on health and safety is completely false. And he got more into the mud on it, but I'm not blaming the players at this point, and I thought it was more 50-50 blame to begin with, but this is certainly so much more on the owners than it is on anybody else.
When we come back, we'll have John McClain. It's 5:29. This is SicEm365 Radio.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, bod pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change, your change.
Do you love Friday Night Lights? Would you like to have a bigger role than just watching the action to ensure the games are played fairly and safely? The Waco football chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO, can make that happen. The 2020 Texas high school football season is right around the corner, and we need you to be a part of it. There's a shortage of officials across the state in all sports, and you can help. If you love the game and want to be a part of the solution, you can help our local student athletes continue to participate in games they love. Never officiated before? Don't worry. Waco Football Chapter can help you and prepare you to make the right call. And right now, Introduction to Football Officiating class is accepting registrations. Make your first grade call today by looking us up and contacting us on Facebook at Waco Football Chapter or at our website, wacofootballchapter.com. Find out more about the Waco Football Chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO. Go to wacofootballchapter.com.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
We're fighting hard at Pickup Outfitters in our battle to end truck nudity, but it's making sure you have the very best customer service.
So today, Baylor Athletics released a statement. 59 student athletes all on campus. 3 of them tested for COVID-19. 1 was symptomatic. 2 of them were asymptomatic. And every campus that has had players that I know of has reported that they've had some sort of, positive test among the various student athletes. Earlier, I had mentioned it was 3 football players. It was not 3 football players, 3 student athletes. I believe a couple of them were most likely football players. John McClain joins us from the Houston Chronicle on SicEm365 Radio. John, I want to start with baseball. What's the reaction in Houston right now? It appears as if they're basically on the verge of no season.
Same as it is everywhere. Everybody's infuriated. The Astros owner, Jim Crane, told Fox Station here he's in favor of playing. And last night, Rob Manfred, the commissioner, in that ESPN interview, made a total fool of himself. Instead of going in and trying to kill the union with kindness, he went in, talked about bad faith negotiations, talked about Tony Clark, the executive director, and that just makes the union angrier. It also makes them dig in even more. I can't believe it's gotten to this point. And everybody here is so upset at baseball. Both sides. Usually it's always the players. Now I think people know how much money the owners make, and I think they are just as angry at the owners as they are the union.
John, do you think baseball can ever make it back from this, especially given the fact that it's not great?
I do, Paul, because it's a great game. You know, when they had the strike and missed the World Series in '94, came back, attendance was down, and then people like to say Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa's home run race, which we watched last night on ESPN, Long Gone Summer '98, brought all the fans back. It's a great game with a lot of great players. There have been a lot of strikes and work stoppages in baseball, more than all the other sports combined, and the fans always come back. I know I'll be upset and I'll be angry, but boy, when I hear the sound of a ball against a bat and the ball in the glove, I'll be fired up again.
John, what did you think of that documentary? And in hindsight, how do you sort of view that whole time period, the steroid home run race era in baseball?
There was a lot of talk then about illegal substances. It didn't bother me. I know a lot of players did it, and I loved it. I love watching Mark McGwire hit the tape measures. I used to go see Barry Bonds here. I knew he was doing steroids, but a lot of guys did steroids, but they didn't all put it to use like Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire. I don't condone it, but I loved watching it. It's like they used to say in the Braves pitching commercial, chicks dig the long ball. The fact is, everybody digs the long ball. I thought it was tremendous, and I hope someday we can have another race like that, although I don't think we're ever going to get to 70 again like Mark McGwire. And then Barry Bonds came along and broke his record.
Bill O'Brien is a volatile lightning rod issue or person in the Houston area. The way he has taken on the Black Lives Matters, the kneeling, the anthem, what has gone on in the country the last 2 or 3 years, what's been the reaction to him?
Well, it's led by the Texans organization, owner Cal McNair. He's done multiple videos supporting the players, saying they'll do everything they can to fight racism. He recorded a video 2 weeks ago. Then he's had a 10-part series in which he and his mother, Janice, the controlling owner, and Cal's wife, Hannah, they sit down with an African-American to talk about their life stories and racism. Romeo Crennel, their 72-year-old defensive coordinator, is the one that came out this week, former number 1 pick, Travis Johnson last week. And so O'Brien knows that the McNair family is good with it. And Cal McNair has said he will encourage any kind of nonviolent demonstration by the players, and that includes kneeling. And I did an interview with O'Brien last week, and I said there's going to be a lot of black and white players on every team taking a knee this season. He said, yep. And I said, if they were to ask you to do it, what would you do? He said, I'll take a knee. I'm all for it. He said, it's got nothing to do with the flag. It's got to do with them not being treated equally for more than 400 years, and whites have to stand with blacks. And as you can imagine, he's gotten a lot of praise, but, man, he's gotten a lot of criticism. The first time I've gotten bombarded with angry comments from readers about O'Brien that didn't involve his coaching or one of his personnel decisions.
John, do you think the NFL will try to do maybe a protest that takes place before the anthem to try to separate the issues?
No. I think when Roger Goodell came out and apologized and said, I support the players, I want to do what the players want. Times have changed so much since Colin Kaepernick took a knee. And even though it's the same things, police brutality and racial unrest and racial injustice, which are the same things that John Carlos and Tommy Smith were protesting on the metal platform in the 1968 Olympics. And I think a lot more people are more understanding, but they know they're going to alienate a large part of the fan base, sponsors, ticket holders. But this year, you're not going to see them at stadiums because they're going to be empty or small numbers, if anything. And so you're not going to know if there's going to be a fallout until probably 2021. But I admire the Texans, and especially Bill O'Brien, for speak up the way they believe. O'Brien was brought up that way in Boston. He went to Brown University, one of the most liberal schools in the country, and he doesn't hit people over the head with it. But Cal McNair said George Floyd's death is kind of like was the last straw. We can't be silent. We have to speak out, and we have to do things to join our players in protesting racial injustice. And I think that what we're going to see this season between the protests and with the election coming in November and then the restrictions because of the coronavirus, it's going to be an unprecedented season in the history of sports at every level.
Yeah, and that includes, John, the Hall of Fame game, which now, no surprise, looks like it's in jeopardy there in Canton, as well as the ceremony itself. I know they'll do something eventually where they're pushing back or going via video, but what would you miss most about the lack of a Hall of Fame ceremony?
The players getting to be inducted. Nobody cares about the game. The game's a waste of time. But the induction ceremony is a big deal to them, the inductees, and their fans who come from all over the country to see their favorite players from their favorite teams be inducted, getting to go to the parade. I rode in the parade in 2006 when I was put in, and it's like nothing you experience. And then they have multiple functions for them. It's just a great Hall of Fame weekend, and I feel terrible for them. But that's just the first of preseason games going to be canceled. They're talking about playing 2. They might end up playing 1. Wouldn't surprise me if the season is not affected by the coronavirus, because as you guys know, we've set a record in Texas 4 days in a row. And I've quoted in the column I wrote tomorrow I wrote that the Super Bowl champion could be determined by the fewest number of positive tests for COVID-19, and COVID-19 positive tests will be as common as hamstring injuries in NFL locker rooms this season. And if anybody thinks the Cowboys and the Texans are the only ones to test positive recently, they're either naive or foolish or both.
All right. Anything else, guys? John, thank you, man. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. SicEm as always.
There's John McClain. We can't end the segment until he does that. SicEm and John McClain, Houston Chronicle.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to when I was kind of mentioning the MLBPA and the response that they had, and I kind of got lost in the traffic of voices. But, one of the things I wasn't able to explain because I couldn't quite remember it, but now I have it in front of me, is the players and talking about bad faith with MLB. The theory that I saw placed out there yesterday by one of the players was they were starting to look on track, and here we are, and the players are at the point where they're like, all right, we've agreed on the money and the give out and everything like that, we're going to play 65 to 75 games. But the entire time, owners have wanted less than that because of why? Because they say they lose money on games. So they would be looking at with 65 to 75 as opposed to 50, maybe 15 to 20 games where they're, losing out on potential money. So the theory going around amongst the players and some out there is that this is, with Manfred coming out yesterday, totally intentional because they were close to getting this thing underway, but they, being the owner and ownerships, want closer to 50 games, and so they're going to delay it. And then at the end of this month, they're going to come back and be like, hey, guys, we've settled all our differences, and now we're ready to play. And guess what they'll have? They'll have the 50-game season that they wanted to begin with. And so that's how many in MLB are viewing this move by the owners, and all of a sudden that complete 180 that the commissioner took yesterday was suddenly saying there wasn't going to be a season. So that's the belief, and I would not put it past the owners to definitely have had that in mind.
Yeah, it's just I love baseball. Paul, you've mentioned more than anything else how much you've missed watching the game, and obviously it's great to have games on at night. And I like baseball tonight. I like to kind of get the cliff notes of what happened. But they are, and sports is, if they're not careful, and television, in my opinion, say whatever you want about how the ratings were for The Last Dance, the ratings were for the PGA Tour, and people were thirsty to watch the Colonial on Sunday, the final round. For a sports broadcaster like myself, a lifelong, from the day I even knew the sports existed, I've always loved sports at every level. I can watch UFC. I can watch sumo wrestling. I can watch, hell, I can watch the America's Cup yacht racing. But I'm telling you right now, I'm getting closer and closer to just turning off, and I'd
miss it a lot.
There's so many different things to do now in America outside of watching sports. They got to be careful.
Yeah.
And I wish that there were live sports because I think we need it badly.
But baseball is also losing its youth in that younger kids are not playing baseball as long. Younger kids aren't watching baseball. They're not coming up with it. Soccer is spiking like crazy for the younger people of America. Pretty soon, Major League Soccer will be right there, even with Major League Baseball, just because more kids played soccer than played baseball growing up. The three of us like baseball more than we like soccer, more likely because we played baseball a lot longer than we played soccer.
Yeah, I don't think MLB is in danger of MLS closing in on them other than just the numbers of participants. Like, money-wise, they're so far from that ever becoming a reality anytime in the next few years. But, it's certainly, if we looked up in 20 years from now, yeah, MLS could be the number 2 sport. I mean, people have been waiting for the soccer revolution in this country for like 1 billion World Cups now. So we're actually seeing some numbers that are trending up as far as participation goes. And as you mentioned, in baseball, those numbers are trending down. I think they've been playing for a while now a pretty dangerous game. And again, I think there's just an arrogance that emanates from baseball's higher-ups that you don't get as much in other sports. I mean, certainly you have your arrogant personalities, but baseball, it starts with the commissioner and it trickles on down. I mean, a lot of people don't like Roger Goodell, but for the most part, I would think that they would say that he's made the game more entertaining. He's expanded the game. He's grown the game. He's not always been right in what he's done, but he's acknowledged mistakes. Hey, this rule didn't work this year. Let's go ahead and change it. Like, they're quick to adapt, even if adapting's not always the answer. And if it's not, then they go back and correct that mistake. Whereas baseball just has this air of, we're baseball and we're above any, mass change or criticism, or they just feel above it to me. And I just don't think that bodes well for them. I think this is a bad look. The players clearly want to play, and there's really no excuse for them to not be playing right now outside of, just the health measures.
Tom Brady was in a uniform. We have the pop quiz, some of the answers from SicEm365 and what we did at SicEm365.com, including what's the greatest movie ever that you haven't watched. The UIL looking at the possibility of live streaming high school football, which they've never allowed on Fridays. That and more coming up. SicEm365 Radio.
This is Waco, and this is Hoosiers Jewelers. When locals want luxurious jewelry and at a competitive price, they come here. This is Brad Boozer. He's the owner of Boozer's Jewelers. Boozer's is the premier wedding ring store. They specialize in loose diamonds and wedding rings. At Boozer's, they have 7 jewelry counters dedicated to wedding rings and diamonds only. They also specialize in heirloom jewelry, custom jewelry, watches, and much, much more. So what are you waiting for? Stop on in today and discover why the locals trust Boozer's for their jewelry.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
These make a great pair. Each are phenomenal bargains from Allen Samuels. The new 2020 Jeep Cherokee and new 2019 Dodge Journey. Save thousands now as we drive forward into summer. Journey, the great American crossover with third row seating, just $16,995 for select qualified buyers. And the Go Anywhere Jeep Cherokee, just $29.90 and eligible for first responder $500 bonus cash. Journey, Jeep Cherokee, summer bargains from Allen Samuels.
Ask for details.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
There's something I had here about the Texas Education Agency superintendents. They were hoping to unveil a guidance plan today. Texas Education Agency officials will not release their safety and funding guidance for the 2020-2021 school year today. This is from @Cron Jacob. TEA leaders plan to unveil guidance today, but it's now tentatively been pushed back to next week. Superintendents want the information ASAP to help them plan for when students return or instructors return on campus in August. And so there's a delay, and you wonder if it's kind of like, okay, wait a minute, we need to kind of know what's about to happen or what is happening, flare-ups or whatever. UIL is going to discuss live streaming high school football games on Friday nights, and you wonder if this is because people who may not be able to go to the game. Now, we do radio. We'll have Connolly football. We've done radio. I've done broadcasts since 1990. But they're looking at letting live streaming of football games on Fridays. That's never been the case. There was that one special weekend I think they've had a couple of years in a row. But most of the time it's been Saturday. That's a huge change, and that's going to go down tomorrow morning around 9 o'clock is when the UIL, the standing committee on policy will meet.
They're going to have to do that.
So watch that.
They're going to have to do that eventually because, again, even with radio broadcasts and whatnot, there's going to be, just the technology and the ability for schools to make money on just that, a sponsorship of the video feed. Even if they're not on a local radio station, if they have a local internet broadcast and a video feed, they can sell that. And I'm not so sure that hurts attendance that much anyway, Smokey, anymore.
I think it would have an effect, but I don't know how much of an effect it would have. Some of those small, I just think some of the crowds, like the grandparents might not want to travel as much anymore to 2 hours to go watch. Maybe they do. Maybe it's all about just seeing the grandson in person or the granddaughter who's in the band or a cheerleader or whatever. I don't know. I think that certainly, though, there's a lot of people that if you tell them you don't have to go to the game, risk maybe being around COVID-infected people, risk, spending money on concessions and the travel itself and all that. You can just sit at home and watch the exact same thing. There's definitely a lot of people that will take up that offer.
How many school districts are going to have the kind of equipment? Now, we did Midway for 9 years.
I mean, they could.
They could easily do it. Yeah. And there's others that could do it. And there are some now that have more equipment and technology than ever before. But it's different than what you're going to watch on Fox Sports Southwest or CBS or ABC or ESPN or ESPNU. So, can Bosqueville, and they got some money, but can they have a setup where you can watch their games at home, or is it going to be one standard? Like, are they talking about like one camera that you see the whole field? I would be very careful here.
I would think the most things that you could get streaming-wise would be the stadium feed, which, Midway and Temple and places like Waco High have. But, Mart's not going to have it. Bosqueville's not going to have it. How many of those?
You know what? You're going to also do? Where are you going to have room in the press box at Robinson?
Yeah.
Or where are you going to have room in the press box? We're going to do the games at Conley, and they've got a double-decker press box, and there's other games we're going to go other places as well. But there's not room in a lot of those places. If there's going to be a lack of attendance or less attendance because of the concerns about being around other people, then aren't you actually going to lower the attendance even more by putting the game up on a camera?
Yeah.
Where you can watch it? If it happens, great. It doesn't bother me at all. We're doing what we do.
Because I'm different. I don't have kids, so if you told me I don't have to go to a game, I'm probably not going to go to one. I'd much rather watch or listen. So I don't know.
It's different though being at the game. TJ said there's just something about it. You got to be at the high school atmosphere, and I agree with him there. Now the pop quiz. Oh, Tom Brady's uniforms. He asked the question. The Buccaneers put out a picture. Hey, when should we release the Tom Brady uniforms? And he put on tomorrow. They came out with them tomorrow. I'm sure they'll sell millions of them.
Are you saying the jerseys go on sale tomorrow?
Oh, I know. I just put up the pictures of him. I'm sure that they have jerseys that will go on sale as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of pictures of him in his uniform today that I saw, and they're
looks fine.
New uniform.
Looks fine to
the
me.
New uniforms, they look good.
Pop quiz. Jason King put this out. Football player who's going to surprise everyone this season. Colt Barber said Mark Milton. Brian Etheridge, Giancarlo Valentine, the offensive lineman. J.T. Woods, Grayson Grundhafer. Ashley Hodge said Yusuf Terry. Heard a lot of things about him. Defense, Matt Jones, linebacker. Jason King, Quaylen Jones, who I brought up a couple of weeks ago, and, pounder. Rob Solomon, Craig.
Yeah, I went with somebody who I don't really feels like been talked about. I think we've heard a lot about Yusuf Terry already, and there's already an expectation for him. There's already an expectation for him to be really good. I looked at Mark Milton as well, and some of those others named. But, Rob Solomon was a guy who played every game last year. He went from D-line to starting the last 4 games at tight end. He's over 300 pounds. He can play offense and defense. I just think he'll be an intriguing option.
I mentioned Josh Fleeks with Larry Fedora's offense, perhaps getting him more touches. Not a lot, but just enough. Let's try to roll through this real quickly. Now, one play in college football that you hate.
I said fade to the end zone.
It's such a
low percentage.
Play.
It's got to be a good throw, or you have to have a dominant wide receiver. And even then, as good, you can have Randy Moss, but if you throw a fade in the end zone, he's still going to have 2 guys that are within 2 feet of him, and he can out-jump them, but the odds of him making that catch versus pretty much any other play you could run with him are pretty low still.
Brian Etheridge said the quarterback sneak.
I hate the zone read.
All right. Jason King, the fade pass in the corner of the end zone. Ashley Hodge, slow developing play action when it's obvious a passing down. I mentioned the quick screen to the wide receiver, and then yet I connected the video of RG3 to Josh Gordon against KU in 2010. They went 94 yards.
Yeah, but see, a lot that's the exception that proves
I know, and it was against Kansas. If you could take a basketball player from Baylor's down years and put him on this team, Brian Skinner seemed to be mostly, and Lawrence Roberts, who was there 01, 02, 03. I mentioned David Wesley, who was there in 92, a long, long time ago. But they might be just fine at guard with Donovan Mitchell if Butler comes back, Maceo Teague, among others.
I'm not great about the older Baylor basketball questions. I went with Terry Black. I just think he'd be fun to have on this team. So I didn't have as much knowledge with that one as most others.
Wildly popular movie I've inexcusably never seen. Colt said Animal House.
Oh, man.
Brian Etheridge mentioned Black Panther. I'm just not a Marvel fan.
Okay.
Grayson Grunhafer said The Breakfast Club. Ashley Hodge said Little Shop of Horrors, a musical.
That's a good movie. These are all good movies.
Jason King mentioned Godfather.
Oh, wow.
Oh, gosh, Jason King, come on.
Craig Smoke?
Avatar. And I don't care to see it. I have
I'll
no desire.
I'll tell you what, you're not missing anything. It's a big budget remake of Fern Gully. They're doing like 3 others. I'm not going to watch
Thought it
any
was
of them.
Dances
Why
with
didn't
Wolves.
you answer that?
Because I've seen every movie.
No, why didn't you put it in?
Because I didn't want to seem. I didn't want to seem like a.
You didn't answer
D
any
head.
of them.
Yeah.
I said Star Wars. I've not watched any of them.
That's more common than you would think. But there's not a big budget list. I can't
I love
think of one I
Lost
haven't
in
seen.
Space when I was a kid.
Yeah, I can't think of one I haven't seen. I see every movie.
I've had no desire. Everybody's going crazy over the IMAX experience with Avatar and how beautiful it was and how great it was. And the whole time, I was just like, okay, that's cool. I never had any desire to go.